Chapter 2189. While they were waiting, Sima Yu sized up the environment and realized that the trees here were much more lush than those on the other mountains. She wondered if this had anything to do with that power. Half a day later, the ripple that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior mentioned appeared. Even outside the enchantment, she could feel a majestic power drifting out. Inside, she did not know how strong that power was. No wonder Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior did not rashly bring her in. Sima Yue felt the ripple of power pass through her body. It was a familiar feeling, but she did not know where she had felt it before. After the ripple passed, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said, "This power is sometimes strong and sometimes weak. When it was strong, it killed 2 of our clansmen. When it was weak, it was about the same as today." "When did this start?" Sima Yue asked. "More than 3 months ago," Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. "In the past, this place was no different from other places. However, 3 months ago, this enchantment suddenly appeared. At the same time, there was a ripple of power. Thinking about it, it was around the time you woke up." "That's really a coincidence." Sima Yue smiled. She called Little Roar out and let Little Roar open a door-sized hole in the enchantment. Then she said to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, "Let's go in." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior went in first, then she carried Little Roar in. The inside did not look any different from the outside. However, once they entered, they could clearly feel that the power from before had not dissipated. "This place is indeed much stronger than the outside. I can't feel any power outside, but it is still very obvious inside," Sima Yue said. "Indeed," Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. "Be careful." The 2 of them continued to approach the mountain. The scorching temperature of the desert made their mouths dry. Sima Yue took out 2 jade bottles filled with water and handed one to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior actually did not need to drink water. After being here for so many years, he was already used to the environment. However, when he saw Sima Yue stretch out her white and slender hand in front of him, he still reached out to take the jade bottle and drank a little. As soon as the water entered his mouth, he realized that it was different from ordinary water. "This water has a very ancient aura," he said with certainty. "What water is this?" "Chaos River water," Sima Yue said. She felt that since this water could help her grandfather advance to the Imperial Emperor realm and break through the heavenly Tao, drinking it as water might have some benefits. Supreme Fifth Spirit did not ask any more questions. He was an ancient spirit beast and his strength was about the same as an Imperial Emperor's. He already had his own Tao in his body, and did not need the recognition of the heavenly Tao to become an Imperial Emperor. Therefore, the water was just a little special to him, and didn't attract too much attention. The 2 of them quickly crossed the desert and entered the oasis, arriving at the foot of the mountain. As soon as he entered this place, the burning sensation disappeared. It was as if he had entered another world. She was somewhat certain that the environment here should be similar to that force. "I don't know where that power is. It seems like we need to go underground to take a look," Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said to Sima Yue as he did not find that power on the ground or in the mountains. All right. Going underground was not difficult for her. It was not the first time she had done something like this. Therefore, the 2 of them used their spirit energy to wrap themselves up. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior led the way while Sima Yue followed behind. Sima Yue watched as Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior led her through the ground without any resistance. The soil seemed to move away automatically when it met him. She was amazed. The 2 of them went down for about half a day before they arrived at an underground palace. Outside the underground palace was a huge cave that was dug out by people. With the protection of the enchantment, this 10,000 meters underground formed an independent space. With Sima Yue around, the 2 of them successfully arrived outside the underground palace. How strange! Why is there an underground palace here? Sima Yue looked outside the underground palace. The tall palace walls were carved with ancient spirit beasts. Each of them was lifelike, as if they were guarding this palace. Moreover, it was too strange for an underground palace to appear here. This underground palace must have been built later than the ancient mine. Since they were already here, It was impossible for them not to have discovered the ancient mine. Since they had discovered it, why did they leave such a huge mine unexcavated? This did not make sense. This is not a palace. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. This is a graveyard. Graveyard? Who would build their own graveyard like a palace? Sima Yue asked in shock. She thought of the entire structure that she had seen from above. It did not look like a palace that people lived in. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior did not know whose graveyard it was. When they were sealed in the ore, they did not know what was going on outside. Let's go in and take a look. Maybe we'll know. He came to the door and reached out to push it. However, he realized that the door would not budge. He was slightly surprised. He used more strength to push it, but it still did not budge. This time, he was not just surprised. He was extremely shocked. He was an ancient spirit beast. The strength of his body was self-evident. Not to mention a small door. Even a mountain would be flattened by his strength. However, the door in front of him did not budge at all. Sima Yue realized that he could not open the door after trying twice. She walked over and asked, "Is this door very heavy?" As she spoke, she reached out to try. She did not use much strength and managed to push the door open a small crack. "It's not very heavy," Sima Yue said softly. Then she used a bit of strength and pushed the door open enough for a person to enter. Sima Yue was puzzled. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was even more surprised. He was very clear on how much strength he had used. The door did not budge at all. However, she had only used a bit of strength and she had actually pushed the door open. Sima Yue walked in. She saw that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was still looking at the door. He did not enter, and she stood there waiting for him. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior reached out to push the half-open door. Logically speaking, since the door had already been opened, it would not take much strength to open the rest. However, when he tried to push it, it still did not budge. "Yue. Come and try." "All right." Sima Yue walked back and came to a large door. She chose a door and with a bit of strength, the door opened completely. "This door seems to only recognize you," Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. "It seems so." Sima Yue also saw it. "But it's strange. This place looks quite old. Why would it recognize me? There are only two reasons for this situation. Bloodline or qi. Right now we can't guess anything. Let's go in and take a look. Perhaps we can find something." "All right." The two of them were about to walk in when suddenly, a strong force surged out from the palace. Chapter 2190. That power came so suddenly that the two of them were not prepared for it. And when that power appeared, they could feel that it was much stronger than before. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior wanted to go up and protect Sima Yue, but the speed of the power was too fast. It penetrated the two of them in an instant. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior used his spiritual energy to block it, but he was still forced to take 2 steps back. Sima Yue also used her spiritual energy, but she could not stop the speed of that power. "It's over." She could feel the majestic power in that power. Now that she did not have time to defend herself, wouldn't she be finished? From the moment that power came out, everything happened in the blink of an eye. When Sima Yue reacted, that power had already passed through her. The result was different from what she had expected. She did not feel uncomfortable at all, nor was she forced to retreat like Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. It was as if that power had brushed past her body like a breeze. Luckily, that power dissipated after passing through, and did not cause any harm to them. "Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, are you all right?" Sima Yue saw that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior had moved a little and asked. "I'm fine," Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. "This power does not seem to have any effect on you." He had already taken 2 steps back. Sima Yue was weaker than him, but she did not have any reaction at all. "I noticed it too," Sima Yue said. "Not only does it not affect me, but it also gives me a very comfortable feeling." Thinking about the door from before, and the time that this strange power appeared, as well as her current feeling, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was sure of his guess. "I'm afraid that you have some connection with this tomb." Sima Yue also had the same guess. The timing of its appearance was too coincidental. And now that there was such a phenomenon, No one would believe that there was no connection. But this tomb looks very old. Why would it be related to me? It can't be that this tomb is mine, or that it's waiting for me here, right? Thinking of this possibility, Sima Yue could not help but twitch her mouth. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior glanced at her, speechless at her thoughts. However, he put away his thoughts and said, "You'll know when you get in." Thinking of the tombs they had been to before, the two of them walked very carefully, in case there were any traps. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior himself was not afraid, but with her by his side, he had to be careful. However, none of the traps that they had expected were there. The two of them walked all the way to the main hall of the Mausoleum Palace. However, the two of them stood in front of the main hall, not in a hurry to enter. "Isn't this journey a little too smooth?" Sima Yue asked Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior had entered many mausoleums before, but this was the first time he had seen a mausoleum without any traps. To be more precise, he felt that there were mechanisms, but those mechanisms seemed to be broken and did not activate at all. Thus, they arrived at this place peacefully. However, this was just too strange. "Forget it, we're already here. That power came from inside, so we have to go in and take a look." Sima Yue took a deep breath and pushed the door of the main hall. This door was the same as the one outside. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior could not push it, but Sima Yue opened it with a little force. There was nothing inside, only a coffin. Sima Yue stepped over the high threshold and entered. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior wanted to enter, but he was blocked outside by a force. That was not an enchantment, so Sima Yue could not let him in. It was as if the power came from only her. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior attacked the power at the door twice, but all his spiritual energy was absorbed without any ripples. "Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, why don't you wait outside? I'll see what's inside the coffin," Sima Yue said. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior knew that there was no other way, so he could only nod his head and remind her. "Be careful, if there is any danger, immediately retreat." "Okay," Sima Yue replied and walked towards the coffin, not being particularly careful. Based on everything that happened before, she should be safer here, although she did not know why. And in any case, this tomb was not prepared for her. She came in front of the coffin. This coffin did not have any ancient patterns, but was very plain, which did not match the style of the tomb. However, the material was not bad, otherwise it would not have been able to survive for so long without rotting. Anyway, she could not tell what it was made of. When she approached the coffin, she felt a familiar power, as if someone was calling her. The power that was surging out from before was coming from this coffin. She did not know if it was on the coffin or inside the coffin. She reached out to push the lid of the coffin, but this time, she did not push it open like before, but it did not move. However, she was not in a hurry. How could a coffin in this kind of tomb be ordinary? She walked around the coffin. The entire coffin seemed to be one piece, and it was very simple and elegant. She could not see anything strange about it. This coffin must have some kind of mechanism. She thought about how she was treated in this tomb, and felt that it must have something to do with her aura, or spiritual energy. No matter what it was, she had to give it a try. She placed her hand on the coffin, and inserted her spiritual energy into it. She originally thought that it would be useless, but she actually felt a response from the power above the coffin. She felt that she had inserted enough spiritual energy, so she took her hand back. At this time, a white light appeared on the lid of the coffin. The white light moved around the lid of the coffin, slowly forming a picture. Sima Yue stared at it for a while, and felt that the picture was very familiar, but she did not know if it was in the wrong position, so she could not remember where she had seen it before. Alright, she would not admit that after sleeping for so many years, her memory had become bad. She walked under the coffin and carefully looked at the picture. She could not help but slap her forehead. She was wondering why it was so familiar. Didn't that white light outline the shape of a halberd? When she thought of a halberd, she thought of the heaven's halberd. Although there were other halberds in the spirit pagoda, it was the only one that was related to her after so many years. Moreover, the size and shape were the same as the heaven's halberd after fusion. She took out the heaven's halberd, hesitated for a while, and placed it in the white light. When she placed it down, The white light on the lid of the coffin actually shrank into a groove. When the heaven's halberd was placed on it, the groove was completely filled. This scene made her mouth slightly open in surprise. Clang! She did not know where it was activated, but the lid of the coffin made a crisp sound. Then Sima Yue felt that the world was spinning. Chapter 2191. Seeing the person in front of her, Sima Yue was not surprised at all. "You're not surprised to see me?" Emperor Qingdao placed his hands behind his back and sized her up. "Emperor." Sima Yue bowed towards Emperor Qingdao. Although he was just a soul, but because of their fate, she was still respectful towards him. "It seems like you've seen my other souls," Emperor Qingdao said confidently. "I saw a strand of divine sense in the pavilion of transcendence, and a strand of soul in a fake tomb. I've also seen you once," Sima Yue said. "Ha. Emperor Qingdao heard the words old man and laughed. "I'm clearly so young. Why are you calling me old man? It's been hundreds of thousands of years. If you're not an old man, then what are you?" Sima Yue replied. "Hundreds of thousands of years. It's been so long." Emperor Qingdao suddenly appeared in front of her. Before she could react, a silver light enveloped her. Sima Yue did not think that Emperor Qingdao would hurt her, so she was not prepared at all. At that moment, she was shocked, but she was not too worried. Soon, Emperor Qingdao returned to his original position and sighed. "So the outside world has changed so much." It was only then that Sima Yue realized that he was searching her memories. "Emperor." Couldn't he tell her beforehand? She was shocked. You're not such a timid person." Emperor Qingdao's laughter was very alluring. It reminded her of that sentence. Even the ears would get pregnant from hearing it. "But I can't handle your sudden actions." Sima Yue rolled her eyes. "You have the map of the other tombs. Why didn't you go?" Emperor Qingdao asked. "Something happened, and I didn't have time to go." Sima Yue wanted to say, "Didn't you see my memories? Don't you know that I just woke up?" "You forgot," Emperor Qingdao said. Ahem. Sima Yue touched her nose. She had indeed forgotten. Ever since she woke up, her mind was filled with the matter of the black-robed men. She didn't think about Emperor Qingdao at all. Even when she came here, she didn't think that Emperor Qingdao had given her a map. Otherwise, she would have discovered that this was also a marked point on the map. And it was the biggest dot on the map. "You are worried about that black-robed man." Emperor Qingdao knew what she was thinking. "Yes," Sima Yue admitted, especially since the men in black were committing crimes on the road, and they might have something to do with her. Thinking of this, she felt a little guilty. Moreover, Xiao Tong's words made her unable to stop thinking about this matter. "Not only are you worried, you are also afraid." Emperor Qingdao easily saw through her deepest thoughts. Sima Yue did not deny it. The more he cared about it, the more worried he became. Naturally, fear would arise. However, she had never thought of this before, so she had never admitted the fear in her heart. "Not only are you afraid, you are also afraid," Emperor Qingdao continued. Sima Yue became even more silent. "You are afraid that this matter will happen. You are also afraid that this matter will implicate the people you care about. Am I right?" Emperor Qingdao did not like to play a one-man show. He would not let her not answer. However, Sima Yue felt that all her thoughts had been seen through by him. It was as if the last veil covering her shame had been removed. However, these things did not mean that they did not exist just because she did not think about it. She sighed and said, "You are right. I am indeed worried and afraid." So they all went to investigate this matter. I did not go. "Why are you afraid?" "I don't know. I just feel that something bad will happen. If I go and investigate, I will find out something I don't want to know," Sima Yue said. "No, you know. That is why you don't think about it," Emperor Qingdao said. "You are afraid that things will be the same as you think." Sima Yue fell silent again. After a long time she nodded and said, "Yes." "Tell me?" Emperor Qingdao felt a little gossipy. Sima Yue felt 3 black lines at the back of her head. However, she did not see Wu Lingyu after waking up. She did not know who to tell her thoughts to. If she told him now, he would disappear. It would not affect anything. There was nothing to worry about. It is a friend of mine, she said. He was born with a very strong force in his body. In order to save his life, his clansmen sealed that force. As a result, he did not walk for hundreds of years. He also did not see his eyes. And then I cured his eyes and legs. However, I found that his seal had loosened. Because of your treatment. Since those conditions were caused by the seal, now that he was cured, people would naturally think that it was caused by what she did. No. Sima Yue shook her head. That seal has a time limit. I think that with their strength, the seal can only last for so long. However, this is what I am worried about. Oh. My friend is from a hidden clan. His strength is extraordinary. If even they can't do anything about it, you can imagine how powerful it is. Sima Yue said. If that thing breaks the seal, I don't know what will happen to my friend. You think that the seal is useless? Emperor Qingdao said. I am not sure. However, the last time we met, the things he said and did were too strange. Sima Yue thought of Xian Qiuhe's expression. It seemed like he was saying goodbye to her. She panicked. What did he mean by saying that she had to remember him when he was no longer around? Did that mean that she would never see him again? After thinking about it, she felt that the seal was about to break. Or, it had already broken. Do you think that he is related to the black-robed man? Emperor Qingdao asked. She did not know if it was because this was his illusion, or because she had inherited some of his inheritance. Sima Yue felt that he could see through all her thoughts. She was silent. Emperor Qingdao did not rush her. It was as if he was waiting for her to spill. If she did not say anything, he would not be anxious. Actually, if she told him, he would not do anything. Naturally, there was no need to be anxious or curious. After struggling for a while, she finally said the deepest secret in her heart. 10 years ago, I was still in deep sleep. My disciple came to visit me. He was captured by the black-robed man in the stone room where I was in deep sleep. At that time, I felt that their fight was a little strange. My disciple was worried about my safety. However, the black-robed man was also very cautious. He seemed to be worried that their fight would hurt me. You think that person is him? At that time, I did not recognize him. I only felt that the figure was a little familiar. However, the difference in aura was too big. After that, I thought that the black-robed man was him. Chapter 2192. At that time, she felt that the figure was familiar, but because her soul was damaged, she did not have the energy to think about it. After that, she continued to sleep for 10 years. When she woke up, her memory was a little blurry, so she did not remember why that person was familiar. But on the night of her birthday, his every move made her flustered. The originally blurry black-robed man became clear in her heart. At this time, she suddenly remembered why she felt that person was familiar. That was Xian Qiuhe. It was just that his aura was evil and ruthless, so she did not recognize him immediately. Thinking about his actions, she could only guess that his seal was broken, and his rationality was slowly being eroded, which was why he said things like if he was no longer around. You said that after his seal was broken, his aura changed? Emperor Qingdao asked. In the past he gave people a clean and warm feeling. When I was with him, it was as comfortable as a spring breeze. Sima Yue said. But that black-robed man was sinister and ruthless, making people uncomfortable. It was also because they were too different that I did not think of them together. What happened to you? At first, Emperor Qingdao's expression was still indifferent, but when she finished speaking, his expression changed. I remember, he seemed to have hugged you once. Emperor Qingdao did not answer her, but asked this question. Sima Yue did not know why he brought this up. Come here. Emperor Qingdao said. Sima Yue did not understand. Why did he want her to go over? And didn't he know how to move? Why didn't he come over himself and ask her to go over? But she still went over obediently, because Emperor Qingdao's expression did not look good. She stood in front of him, thinking that he was going to say something to her. Who knew that he did not say anything, but instead reached out and hugged her. Sima Yue was stunned. She was actually hugged by a soul. Other than Wu Lingyu and Xian Qiuhe, No other man had hugged her like this. No, he was not a man. At most, he was a soul of a man. Just as she was thinking about how to resist, Emperor Qingdao let go of her, and his expression was even worse than before. Seeing him like that, Sima Yue could not help but wonder if the feeling of hugging her was not good enough. Ahem, I misunderstood. However, she really couldn't understand why he suddenly hugged her, and why his expression was so ugly. But she couldn't ask. She could only watch as his brows furrowed tighter and tighter. There was a hint of guilt in his eyes. In the end, she couldn't help but ask, "Emperor, what's wrong? I didn't notice it before, but now I realize that you have the aura of that thing on your body." Emperor Qingdao sighed. "You are indeed the scourge I left behind." Sima Yue was confused. What was the aura of that thing? She suddenly recalled that he had asked Xianqiu He if he had hugged her, and she had mentioned the thing that was sealed in Xianqiu He's body. She said, "Monarch, do you know what that is?" Emperor Qingdao nodded. "Speaking of which, it was me who left such a huge hidden danger behind." "What do you mean?" "Before I advanced to Monarch, I noticed the changes in the heavenly Tao. At that time, it was already very difficult to advance to Monarch. Of course, it was only difficult, but not impossible." Emperor Qingdao said, "You should know that when I advanced to Monarch, I wasn't very old." Sima Yue nodded. She had heard about this before. "I heard that your talent was extremely good. At that time, talent was no longer the only requirement to advance to Monarch." Emperor Qingdao sighed. "Then how did you advance to Monarch at such a young age?" Sima Yue was astonished. "Because I didn't encounter any bottlenecks." "How is that possible?" "Once one advanced to God rank, one not only had to have sufficient spiritual energy, but also had to comprehend it. If one had sufficient spiritual energy but had no comprehension, it wouldn't be possible. However, it was impossible for a person to always have a smooth journey without any calmness. Because I didn't have those negative things," Emperor Qingdao said. "How is that possible?" Sima Yue was not only astonished. Without those negative things, one naturally wouldn't have a smooth journey. But how was that possible? Anger, sadness, disappointment, killing and so on were innate. How could he not have those? "Due to a stroke of luck, I managed to remove them from my body," Emperor Qingdao said. As for what happened, he didn't elaborate. There was no need for him to elaborate. What does this have to do with that thing? "At that time, I didn't think that after those things were removed from my body, they didn't disappear." Emperor Qingdao blamed himself. "What? Could it be that those things were the negative things that you removed?" Sima Yue couldn't be described as shocked. She had heard of such situations before. She thought that it was fabricated. She didn't think that it was actually true. Emperor Qingdao didn't say anything. "How powerful are you?" She knew better than anyone how powerful the thing in Xianqiu He's body was. That time when she met it in Xianqiu He's body, it almost broke out of the seal. And such a powerful thing was only a part of his body. Then his power. "It's not what you think," Emperor Qingdao said. "I don't know why it didn't disappear. But it grew later on. If I didn't fight with it before I left this soul, I wouldn't know." Sima Yue felt that this information was a little too much. She needed to digest it properly. Suddenly, she thought of something. She looked at Emperor Qingdao and said, "You can recognize its aura. Then can it recognize your aura too?" "It should. After all, they were once one." "When we were in Tongtian Pavilion, your consciousness entered my body. Later on, I should have your aura. Later on, when I was treating Xianqiu He, I came into close contact with him. At that time, the seal was looser. It should be able to sense your aura." Sima Yue muttered. She suddenly understood. Maybe it was because it sensed her relationship with Emperor Qingdao. That's why she interacted with it. And since Xianqiu He was related to the black-robed man, she was also related to the black-robed man. After she figured this out, she also figured out the rest of her doubts. As the black-robed man, Xianqiu He couldn't be just an ordinary person. Especially after he broke out of the seal. Whether or not he was the leader of the black-robed man organization, this matter should be related to the Xianqiu clan. The black-robed man was related to the spirit energy in the tomb. Thinking of this, she thought of something that happened that year. It was a very important thing that she neglected. Chapter 2193. That happened a few days before she was prepared to go to Xianqiu clan. At that time, a mausoleum appeared, and the Sima family went there. Because she was waiting for Xianqiu he to send someone to pick her up, she did not go with them, but let her senior brothers and sisters go. But later on, they received their request for help. She and Sima Qing hurried over. After arriving there, she saved her clansmen and senior brothers and sisters, and realized that the Qi spirits were different from the ones before. Then she went to the mausoleum with the old ancestor to check the Qi spirits, but they did not get any results. These were all nothing. What made her neglect was what happened later on. When they came out of the mausoleum, they met Xianqiu clan and Master Feng Zhixing. Feng Zhixing and the rest were surrounded, and it was Xianqiu clan who saved them. At that time, Xianqiu clan said that they came to pick her up, saw them being attacked, and saved them. At that time, she was still very grateful, and then followed them to Xianqiu clan. Thinking about it now, she was too stupid at that time. At that time, it was only 2 or 3 days since Xianqiu clan sent people to pick her up. They had to go to the Sima family first to know that she was here. But there was not enough time to go back and forth. In other words, they weren't here to pick her up. They were there from the start. Actually, it was not a big deal for Xianqiu clan to be there. After all, everyone hoped to get some inheritance. But they said that they came to pick her up. Now it seemed like they were trying to paint a tiger, but ended up looking like a dog. Thinking about it now, other than coming to pick her up, what else could they be? That could only be one possibility. They were the ones who controlled the Qi spirits. The Qi spirits needed a long time, tens of thousands of years to hundreds of thousands of years. Xianqiu clan was a big clan with a long history. It would not be traced back to hundreds of thousands of years, so this matter should not be arranged by them. But it was very possible that they did not know where they found out, and then used it at this time. They were not the initiators, but they knew that this matter was definitely not done overnight. Because Xiaotong said that the black-robed men and the Qi spirits were closely related, the black-robed men would definitely not be formed in a short period of time, so the Qi spirits were definitely not discovered by them in a short period of time. What she could not understand was, why did they wait for her for so long, just because she had Emperor Qingdao's aura in her body? However, this reason did not make sense. There must be something she didn't know. There was only one way to find out, and that was to find Xianqiu He. When she thought of Xianqiu He, her heart ached again. It was unknown what Emperor Qingdao was thinking, but the two of them didn't speak for a while. The sound of an attack brought the two of them back to reality. They didn't need to think to know that it was Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, who had seen her disappear from the outside, and was attacking the obstruction at the door. "Emperor, is there anything you need from me?" Sima Yue asked. Those things were not for him to think about now. He would investigate them after he got out. Right now, it was better to deal with the proper business first. Emperor Qingdao raised his eyebrows. "Why did you say that I was the one who asked you to come? I've been asleep for more than 100 years, and you appeared when I woke up. The power here doesn't harm me. So you didn't lure me here? Hehe, smart." Emperor Qingdao smiled. "Actually, I didn't know who I was looking for in the beginning. I didn't know why I woke up at that time. Maybe when he left me behind, he was waiting for this moment." Sima Yoyue's eyes flashed with understanding. She was still wondering why they were all souls left behind by Emperor Qingdao. Why did the one she met last time disappear so soon? But this one looked much better. Everything made sense now. So, it was the Emperor himself who thought that this would happen. Could it be that he could foresee what would happen hundreds of thousands of years later? Sima Yue said in shock. "I don't know either. I'm just a strand of his soul, and I don't have his complete memories," Emperor Qingdao said. "Then you don't know why he left you behind?" Sima Yue said. "Every strand of soul has its own mission. Now I know what my mission is." Emperor Qingdao looked at her, which made her hair stand on end. Her instincts told her that what he was about to say was not what she wanted to hear. Emperor Qingdao saw her reaction and smiled. "You don't have to have such a big reaction, right?" Sima Yue shook her head. I have a feeling that you're going to say something bad. Hehe, actually it's nothing much. I just want you to inherit the power I left behind here, and do something at the same time. Don't tell me you want me to help you destroy that fella? Sima Yue thought about today's conversation, and could only think of this. That's right. Emperor Qingdao nodded. Don't you think too highly of me? Sima Yue pursed her lips. You're so powerful, but you couldn't kill it. After so many years with my strength, how can I kill it? Since I've chosen you, I naturally have my plans. Emperor Qingdao said. Can I say no? Sima Yue asked. You're already in deep trouble. It's not up to you. Emperor Qingdao said. Whether you agree or not, you only have one choice. In other words, she had no other choice. As long as I spread this news, there will naturally be someone to solve it, right? Sima Yue said. There were so many experts in the world. How could a mere paragon like her do this? There are some things that can't be done just because you're strong. There are some things that can't be done just because you're weak. Emperor Qingdao said. Sometimes you just need the right person. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. Who the hell would believe her when she said those words? However, he was right. No matter what, she already had no other choice. Because she had Emperor Qingdao's aura on her body. Because that thing already knew about this. There's some power I left behind here. After you absorb it, you can leave this place. Emperor Qingdao said. If I can't absorb it, I can't leave? Sima Yue hoped that she misunderstood. Unfortunately, Emperor Qingdao nodded. Find it, feel it, absorb it, and then leave. Then you can leave. With that, he disappeared from her sight. She looked at the vast snow region. What find it, feel it, absorb it? There wasn't any spiritual energy fluctuation here. What the hell was she looking for? Moreover, she still had many questions to ask. Why did he leave? However, no matter how she called out, Emperor Qingdao didn't appear. It was as if he didn't exist. However, Sima Yue could feel that he was looking at her. Chapter 2194. Sima Yue was speechless. It seemed like he was forcing her to do this. If she didn't accept the inheritance, she couldn't leave. She only hoped that it wouldn't take too long. She didn't want Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior to wait outside for too long. She walked slowly on the white snow, looking for the inheritance that Emperor Qingdao mentioned. But after walking around, she didn't find anything special. Is the inheritance really here? He wouldn't trick me, right? She muttered to herself, then shook her head. Emperor Qingdao wouldn't do something so boring. Since he said it was here, it must be here. It was just that he hadn't found it yet. Since it was passed down to a fated person, it wouldn't be so easy to find it. If she blindly looked around, she wouldn't find any inheritance. Thinking of this, she stopped and didn't walk around blindly. Instead, she stood on the spot and closed her eyes to sense her surroundings. Snowflakes began to fall from the vast expanse of white snow. She stood in place without moving, and the snowflakes soon buried half of her body. In a daze, she seemed to see Emperor Qingdao. At that time he was still very young, about 7 or 8 years old. But that face was somewhat similar to the one now. At that time, he didn't have the strength that everyone respected and no one worshipped him. He only had shabby clothes and poor food. He didn't have a family or a sect. He was just a little homeless child. When he saw the buns on the street, he couldn't help but drool. He wanted to steal 2 buns, but in the end he resisted. At this time, a woman walked over and bought a few buns for him. Eat. After you eat, I'll take you to a place. The woman smiled and patted his head. She didn't mind the dust on his body. Sima Yue couldn't see her face clearly, but she felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. He, who hadn't eaten for a long time, finished the buns in a few bites. Then he followed the woman. The woman took him out of that country and walked a very, very long distance. She took him to a very, very big sect, handed him over to the sect master, and then left. The sect leader saw that his talent was very good. Someone asked him to take him in and nurture him. His strength increased rapidly. When he advanced to the god level, he saw that woman again. The woman brought him to a strange place. Here, You can remove those negative things from your body. Without them, your future path of cultivation will be smooth sailing. The woman said, "What price do I have to pay?" Emperor Qingdao asked. "I will bear the price for you." The woman said, "Why?" "Because you have something very important to do." The woman stood in front of him, but he felt that she was very far away. "What do you want me to do for you?" No matter what, he was willing to do. "Not for me, but for the world." The woman smiled. "This path will be very difficult, but if even you can't succeed, this world will completely change." "You want me to change the heavenly Tao?" Emperor Qingdao asked. Yes. The heavenly Tao was deteriorating. If this continued, the later generations would never be able to become sovereign emperors. They would forever be suppressed and robbed. Only by changing the heavenly Tao can this world be restored to its former state. Can I change the heavenly Tao? Emperor Qingdao had no confidence in the future. It was the same for women. "I don't know if you can succeed, but you have to do it. You are so powerful. Why don't you go, but rather place your hopes on me?" This question was very similar to Sima Yuyue's question. Because the current me can't. Why can't the current you? Why can't the future you? The woman didn't answer. She just looked at him without saying anything. Emperor Qingdao didn't know why the current her couldn't do it, but he could feel the helplessness in her heart. Thus he nodded and said, "All right. As long as you want me to do it, I will do it." "Then go down. You don't need to feel burdened. Just keep walking forward. Leave the rest to me." The woman threw him into the pool and turned to leave. Emperor Qingdao looked at the woman's back and suddenly felt that this was a farewell. He called out to her back, "Can I know your name?" The woman turned back and smiled at him. The woman's smiling face gradually became clear. Sima Yue saw her appearance and was stunned. Her face was exactly the same as hers, Samsara. "My name is Samsara." After the woman finished speaking, she gradually disappeared. Sima Yue didn't know how to describe her feelings. She didn't expect that the person who saved Emperor Qingdao and sent him to cultivate to remove the negative things in her body would actually look exactly the same as her. Was it just that they looked the same, or was there some connection? She thought of the woman that Emperor Tsonglan liked, and the woman that Little Lucky called mother. They both had the same face as her. Now there was another woman. Was it just a simple resemblance? Or was there some other connection? Bundles of doubts were knotted in her heart, causing her to be unable to figure it out. However, she had a feeling that the connection between her and Emperor Qingdao had been linked the moment he met this woman called Samsara. Therefore, it wasn't a coincidence that she obtained his weapon and his inheritance. Her thoughts were in a mess, but the scene in front of her didn't stop for her. It continued. The process of removing the negative things in his body was extremely painful. Even if he had been enduring, he couldn't help but groan in pain. Sima Yue suppressed the doubts in her heart and continued to look at the scene in front of her. Emperor Qingdao sat in the pool. She didn't know what kind of water it was, but she saw a faint black fog emerging from the top of his head. The black fog didn't dissipate, but slowly gathered on top of his head. After all the negative things were removed, the black fog had become a little dense. She saw Emperor Qingdao come out of the pool, and she also saw the black fog disappear into the air without being discovered by Emperor Qingdao. After Emperor Qingdao left, her gaze also left the pool. Before she left, she turned around to take a look. The black fog was still there, and she didn't know if it was just her imagination, but she felt that the black fog seemed to know that she was looking at it. She also felt a pair of cold eyes staring at her, and that dark aura made her feel cold all over. She left with Emperor Qingdao. After removing the negative things, his cultivation started to grow faster. And just like what he said before, there was no bottleneck. His strength kept rising to the monarch rank, paragon rank, and even the emperor rank. She seemed to have followed him to many places and seen many things, but she was still unable to change the heavenly Tao. Sima Yue couldn't help but ponder. What exactly was the heavenly Tao? How could she change it? Chapter 2195. Sima Yue watched Emperor Qingdao run around, no longer paying attention to what he was doing. Instead, she began to think, what was the heavenly Tao? It couldn't be seen, it couldn't be touched. How could it be touched? How could it be changed? Emperor Qingdao didn't know. Before the scene ended, he was still exploring. Sima Yue opened her eyes. The vast white snow had already reached her lips, almost burying her entire body. She didn't struggle to get out, but closed her eyes again, beginning to absorb the power in the white snow. In this endless snowfield, she didn't know how long she would take to absorb it. It seemed like Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior would have to wait. What she didn't know was that in the outside world, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior and Emperor Qingdao were facing each other. You should go back, she still needs a long time to come out. Emperor Qingdao said to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. What did you do to her? Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior asked anxiously. She was the one who brought her. He had to bring her out. Only then could he explain to the Union Alliance and Sima family. And she looked exactly the same as the person in his memory. He couldn't watch her die in front of him again. She must accept the inheritance here. Absorb all the power here, then come out. Emperor Qingdao said. She won't be able to come out in a short period of time. I don't want outsiders here, get out. No, I have to wait here for her to come out. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. Anyone who trespasses the tomb will be killed without mercy. I've already spared your life for her sake. Get out. After Emperor Qingdao finished speaking, a power wrapped around Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, sending him out of the tomb. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior appeared outside the tomb. With a pung sound, the tomb's door was closed. He looked at the vermilion door, his heart filled with shock. His power was no different from a monarch, but he was still sent out like this. Just how strong was his power? He tried to push the door, but it still couldn't open. He didn't dare to attack, afraid that his attack would disturb her. He stayed outside for a few days, thinking over and over again. He decided to go back temporarily. After he went back, he paid close attention to the situation here, discovering that the power that would appear from time to time no longer appeared, and there wasn't any special movement, guessing that she should be fine. Then he turned his attention to other things. After that, for 2 whole years, no one outside the tomb's tomb. The Sima family members were extremely worried. If it wasn't for her life jade, they would have already gone out to find her. However, they were still worried when they couldn't see her. The Sima clansmen were filled with regret. How long had it been since they woke up, and now they were gone? If they knew she would go out, they wouldn't let her go out. In these 2 tombses, the tombs a place, tomb a lot of the tomb tombs the tomb. Tomb a lot to kill them to kill them. Tombs. The est. SSSS. To the she. At this moment, she was wrapped in a faint silver light. Her eyes were closed as she absorbed the silver light around her. The snow had disappeared, leaving only the stars around her. As the silvers was completely absorbed by her, the snow also disappeared. Phew. She exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, then slowly opened her eyes. Very good, it's faster than I expected. Emperor Qingdao said with satisfaction. Emperor. Sima Yue stood up from the coffin, wanting to ask him some questions about Tiandao, but she saw his shadows slowly fading. Emperor. She was a little anxious and a little sad. She still had so many questions to ask him, so many things to tell him. Why's he leaving? Maybe it's because she saw his past, or maybe it's because she got the power he left behind. She felt closer to him. But before she could talk to him properly, he's going to disappear. Don't be sad. Emperor Qingdao smiled. To be able to see you again even if I disappear, I'm satisfied. Emperor. I couldn't finish what you asked me to do, so I don't have the face to see you. But I'm still happy. It seems that only you can complete this task. It turned out that he still remembered Samsara and could still recognize her face. Emperor, I'm not. She wanted to say that she's not Samsara, but Emperor Qingdao waved his hand to stop her. It doesn't matter whether you're Samsara or not. That's right, he's going to disappear. Why should I break his final fantasy? Change Tiandao. Let this world return to how it used to be. Back then you handed this matter to me, and now I'm handing it to you. I believe that you can finish this matter now. Emperor Qingdao smiled at her. Not knowing why, Sima Yoyue's eyes were filled with tears. She nodded and replied, "Okay. That thing, I need you to eliminate it. I originally wanted to help you, but I didn't expect it to turn out like this." Emperor Qingdao's smile became bitter and guilty. "But I left you a lot of power. Go find them according to the map, get them, and improve yourself." "Okay. Be careful." "Okay." Tears overflowed from her eyes. "Don't be sad." Emperor Qingdao wanted to reach out and touch her head, but his hand went through her body. Then, starting from his hand, his soul turned into a little silver light, and all went into her body. Sima Yue watched the silver light go into her body. She could feel that the breath of Emperor Qingdao in her breath was much stronger. She closed her eyes and forced back the tears in her eyes. After hundreds of thousands of years, he could see the person he had been chasing for a lifetime again, and it was complete. She felt that her body was numb, and all the hair on her body stood up. This familiar feeling scared her, and she immediately threw away all the sadness. She didn't have time to see if there was anything else in the palace. She immediately condensed the spiritual power of Earth attribute, and quickly ran to the ground. "Little Z, can't you suppress the thunder punishment? Why did it come as soon as I advanced?" She called Little Z out, and asked while running. Little Z yawned in her arms, and looked like she just woke up. Hearing her words, she said lazily, "You not only advanced this time, but also know a lot of things you shouldn't know, and are involved in a lot of things. Now that you have advanced, of course you will be struck immediately. This thunder punishment is not ordinary, you have to be mentally prepared." Chapter 2196. On the ground, the ancient spirit beasts were about to go crazy. Why would such a huge lightning tribulation suddenly appear on their land? Looking at the extent of the tribulation cloud, this lightning tribulation was not something they could handle. Because it came so suddenly, everyone was a little dazed. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was very happy when he saw the tribulation cloud. He said to his subordinates, "Immediately evacuate all the clansmen and escape towards the west." "Yes, Senior." The center of the tribulation cloud was in the east of their land, so escaping towards the west was the best option. When Sima Yue came out from underground, she saw the black tribulation cloud. Thinking of Little Purple's words, her heart sank. She sensed that the ancient spirit beasts were all heading towards the west. She quickly flew towards the east, trying to get the tribulation cloud away from the territory of the ancient spirit beasts. When he saw her figure, Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's cold face finally had a slight smile. He knew that she would be fine. "Senior, let's leave quickly." A guard came forward and said. Since she was safe, he did not need to worry. Knowing that she was not afraid of lightning, he brought all the ancient spirit beasts and left. Sima Yue came to an empty desert, and the spirit beasts in the desert all ran away with all their might. The bustling scene was no longer there, and there were only traces left behind by all kinds of escaping. This lightning tribulation was the first lightning tribulation after her soul and body merged. The last time she leveled up, and this time she leveled up. As Little Purple said, it was very powerful, and the cloud spirit did not go easy on her, so the lightning that struck her was real. Even with Little Purple's help, she still grimaced in pain. When the lightning tribulation was over, she was almost burnt to a crisp. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was the first to come to her side, and seeing her wooden appearance, he could not help but smile. "Are you all right?" His voice was filled with undisguised laughter. This was the first time Sima Yue saw him smile, but she was not proud of it. The main thing was that she was too ugly, and his joy was built on her pain, so she could not be happy. She blinked her eyes. "Let me lie here for a few days." She was not suitable to move in her current state, and if she moved, her whole body would probably fall apart. "All right. I'll have them set up a tent for you," Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said with a smile. "However, they have never done such a thing before. If they don't do well, don't despise them." Sima Yue wanted to say that she didn't mind, but her body was in so much pain that she didn't say anything. After they finished setting up the tent, she looked at the crooked and shaky tent, and felt that they were quite impressive to be able to set it up like this. "Don't worry, this tent won't fall." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. You can stay here and recuperate. I'll have someone stand guard outside. Thank you. Elder sister, elder sister. Little Lucky ran in from outside. When he saw her half-charred body, he cried out in surprise, Big sister, how did you end up like this? So ugly. Fortunately, he used his last bit of rationality and swallowed the rest of his words. Otherwise, he would probably be dismembered by her gaze. Your eyes have already betrayed you. Sima Yue was speechless. Little Lucky had been led astray by Little Seven and the others. In the past, he was young and only stuck to Sima Yue. Now that he was older, he played with Little Seven and Little 11 outside all day. In just a few days, he had been led astray. Little Lucky smiled embarrassedly and asked with concern, Big sister, how are you feeling now? Does it hurt? Why don't you try? Sima Yue was originally joking, but who would have thought that Little Lucky would nod seriously and say, And I'll go with you next time. Idiot. Sima Yue's lips curled up. The medicine was taking effect and she sleepily closed her eyes. I'm going to sleep for a bit. Help me keep an eye out. All right, I'll keep watch here. Big sister, you can sleep. Before Little Lucky could finish his sentence, she fell into a deep sleep. Seeing her like this, Little Lucky's heart ached. You don't need to worry. It's a good thing that she got hit. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said calmly when he saw his son's heart ache. Father, what do you mean? Little Lucky asked in surprise. There must be a reason why the lightning tribulation was so strong this time. If she hadn't been struck this time, those things would have hindered her progress. If she was struck, it wouldn't have hindered her progress. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior explained. I see. Little Lucky understood. Luckily she has Little Purple by her side and her body is used to being struck. Otherwise, this tribulation would have been hard to pass. And looking at her like this, she should be fine in a few days. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said with certainty. Thinking of the situation outside, he sighed. She should go out too. Otherwise, those people outside will go crazy. These people are so annoying. They have to wait for Big Sister to go out and do everything. Do they think Big Sister is omnipotent? Little Lucky complained. You have to do what you have to bear. This is something you can't avoid, understand? Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior looked at Little Lucky. Right now he was still carefree and did as he pleased. However, the ancient spirit beasts would be handed over to him sooner or later. Right now he had to make him understand the weight of the word, responsibility. Looking at Sima Yue lying on the sand, he was silent for a while before saying, When he's better, you can leave with him. Can I, father? Little Lucky looked at him excitedly. The joy in his eyes was about to jump out. If he could follow her, he could continue to play with Little 7 and Little 11. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior saw his son's useless appearance and slapped him to the ground. He reprimanded. I want you to follow her to learn, not to play. Little Lucky's head was slapped into the yellow sand. He raised his head and his hair was covered in yellow sand. He spat out the sand in his mouth and chuckled. As long as he could play, being hit a few times was worth it. You stay here and guard him. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said this and left with the people beside him. Outside the tent, thinking of Little Lucky's personality, he couldn't help but sigh. Supreme, there is no need to worry. Young Master is still young. A guard said. Although young Master is a bit playful right now, he is still very bold and decisive when it comes to important matters. When he grows up in the future, he will definitely be able to support the ancient spirit beasts. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior also knew Little Lucky's personality and said, I hope so. I hope that he can grow a bit with Yue. He definitely will. Miss Yue is so outstanding and is so good to young Master. She will definitely be able to lead young Master well. Sima Yue slept for several days. Towards the end, she didn't sleep very well because in her dreams, she saw a pair of dark eyes. Thousands of miles away, under a black cloak, a pair of eyes flashed with an evil smile. Not bad, he had become a bit stronger. He was about to reach his requirements. Chapter 2197. When Sima Yue woke up, a few days had already passed. Most of the wounds on her body had already recovered, but her clothes were still drenched in sweat. She had a dream, a very strange dream. Little Lucky heard the commotion and ran in. When he saw Sima Yoyue's frightened appearance, he anxiously asked, "Elder sister, what's wrong?" Sima Yue took 2 deep breaths to clear her head. The dream just now was too real. It was as if she was really being entangled by something dark, causing her to be unable to see light, the way out, or the future. However, she could feel that the person in the dream was not her. She was only seeing it when she was attached to another person's body. However, she had personally experienced that person's fear. However, why did she suddenly have this kind of dream? Elder sister? Little Lucky saw that she did not react and jumped to her side. He used his claws to touch her face. Sima Yue stretched out her hand to touch his head and said with a hoarse voice, "I'm fine." "What happened to you just now? You look so scary." Little Lucky was used to her usual appearance. When he saw her frightened expression just now, he felt as if she was a completely different person. "I had a very strange nightmare," Sima Yue said. "What did you dream of?" "I dreamed." Sima Yue shook her head. "It's useless to say it. I'll go in and wash up." Previously, she had been struck by lightning until she was unrecognizable. After that, she had laid in the desert for so many days. Now she was sweating from the dream. At this moment, her entire body was feeling uncomfortable. She disappeared from Little Lucky's sight and came out after a while. She was no longer in a sorry state like before. Her entire person was brand new. "Let's go find your father." She carried Little Lucky and walked out. Although she knew that he was already over 100 years old, when she saw his young appearance, she could not help but think that he had just come out of an ore. Little Lucky hid in Sima Yoyue's embrace and secretly laughed. Little Roar's method was really useful. The moment they came out, that crooked tent had successfully retreated and collapsed as expected. "Luckily, we're already out." Little Lucky covered his eyes. It was too embarrassing. Sima Yue nodded and turned to leave. It was not easy for her to hold on for so many days. She carried Little Lucky and went to look for Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior already knew that she was coming, so when she arrived, the guards let her in directly. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior sized her up. She had recovered quite well. Her body was recovering faster and faster as her strength increased. "Looks like you've almost recovered," he said. "I'm much better now. I'll be fully recovered in 2 days." Sima Yue replied, "I have to thank you for giving me a good environment and not letting anyone disturb me. Thank you. You're too courteous." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said, "If you want to thank someone, you should thank you for dealing with that power. Did you absorb all that energy?" At that time, that soul had said that she couldn't come out until she had finished absorbing it. Furthermore, how long had it been since she woke up? She had already advanced from elementary paragon to intermediate paragon. 2 years was equivalent to 1,000 years for others. Other than absorbing that power, he could not think of anything else. Yes. Sima Yue told him about how she had received Emperor Qingdao's inheritance and power. Anyway, even if she did not say it, he would be able to guess it. "The people outside are going crazy looking for you. Do you want to rest here before going out, or do you want to leave early?" Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior asked. "I'll just go back today. My injuries are no longer a hindrance anyway." Sima Yue could imagine how worried her family would be if they could not find her in these 2 years. "That's fine too." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior looked at Little Lucky who was hanging on her body and said, "Take him with you when you leave." Sima Yue was a little surprised. Previously, he had let her take care of Little Lucky in Song State City, because it was convenient. This time, if she took Little Lucky with her, she would not be able to send him back in a short period of time. When Little Lucky had just come out of the ore, he was still small and clingy, so it was fine to leave him with her. But now wasn't he being raised as a young master? How could he still follow her? "It's fine. It's good to let him go out and see more." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said, "What he needs to cultivate now is his temperament." Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior said. Sima Yue immediately understood. He was worried that if Little Lucky stayed here, his temperament would not be enough. When the time came, he would not be able to support the ancient spirit beast clan. And he listened to her and wanted her to teach him more. All right then. If there's any danger, I'll send someone to send him back. This matter was settled. Little Lucky was happily hanging on Sima Yoyue's body, but when Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior looked at him, he calmed down. All right, he would wait until his old man was no longer here to be happy. Sima Yue then talked to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior about some other matters. Basically, if the matter with the black-clothed men came out and they needed help, she hoped that he could bring people to help. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior agreed rather straightforwardly. Although he did not like humans, she was special. Sima Yue received a satisfactory response. She took out the little throne and prepared to leave. Elder sister, is this the little throne that the Nether King gave you? Little Lucky looked at the little throne and his eyes widened. Little Seven and the others had told him how powerful this little throne was. He had never seen it before. Yes, I'll bring you to experience it in a while. Sima Yue hugged Little Lucky and nodded at Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior before sitting on the throne. With a flash of silver light, the little throne disappeared from the house with her. Not long after, they appeared outside Songzhou City. Little Lucky was extremely excited in her arms. He had seen the little throne's power with his own eyes. It was simply too powerful. Sima Yue kept the little throne and looked at the city protected by the protective array. She was a little worried. This protective array was not the same as before. With one look, she could tell that it was set up in the past 2 years. Even at this time, it was still activated. This meant that something had just happened. She came to the city gates and saw the tightly shut city gates. Her brows furrowed even tighter. What had happened that caused the protective array to be activated, and the city to be closed during the day? She saw that there were people on the city walls. Before she could say anything, those people began to chase her away. Leave quickly. You are not allowed to enter the city right now. Why? I said that you are not allowed to enter, so you are not allowed to enter. Leave quickly. That person did not say anything. At this time, a person dressed as a captain walked over and asked, "What's wrong?" "This person wants to enter. I'm chasing her away." The guard replied. "Why are you so stupid? Who knows if it's those people who want to enter at this time? You're not capturing her, and you're letting her go? Go capture her." The moment the captain finished speaking, people immediately flew down from the city walls and surrounded her. Chapter 2198. Sima Yue looked at the guards helplessly. "I want to see those presidents." Since Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior did not tell her that there were changes in Songzhou City, it meant that this was still the territory of the Guild Alliance. According to the progress of that time, this place should have become the headquarters of the Guild Alliance. There should be some of the presidents here. The presidents are so busy. How can you meet them just because you want to? A guard said. You should just surrender. Sima Yue could not be bothered to talk nonsense with them. She wanted to see the presidents as soon as possible. She wanted to know what had happened here, and what had happened in the outside world. Seeing that they were about to attack, she took out her Vice Alliance leader token. Those people immediately froze. No one doubted the authenticity of the token because no one would be stupid enough to pretend to be the Vice Alliance leader in the headquarters of the Guild Alliance. You are the Vice Alliance leader? Which Vice Alliance leader? Sima Yue. You are Yue's Vice Alliance leader? How is that possible? She has been missing for 2 years. If you haven't seen me, then find someone who has. Sima Yue was a little angry. Her face darkened and the aura around her body became stronger. Those people saw her like this and were a little unsure. The captain on the city wall saw Sima Yue and hesitated for a moment. He ordered the person beside him, and that person immediately went down the city wall. Not long later, that person came up with another guard. That guard saw Sima Yue and said excitedly, Vice Alliance leader. That is the Vice Alliance leader. What are you doing? Quickly invite the Vice Alliance leader in. Hearing this person say this, everyone was excited. They had only heard of her before but had never seen her. Now that they were sure that she was the legendary Vice Alliance leader, how could they not be excited? Thinking about their actions just now, they were a little embarrassed. The captain immediately ran down and apologized to Sima Yue. It's okay. You are just thinking about the safety of Tsangzhou City. Thank you for your hard work. Sima Yue did not mind. Open the door, I want to go in. Without any further instructions, someone opened the city gates. Sima Yue did not stay any longer and quickly walked in. Even after she disappeared without a trace, the people here were still looking in the direction she had left. The location of the Guild Alliance could be easily guessed. Following the flow of people, they arrived at the former location of the City Lord's mansion. This place had already been changed into the Guild Alliance's base. Those who were assigned to guard this place were all experienced guards in the Alliance. Naturally, they recognized Sima Yue immediately. The Vice Alliance leader is back. Someone shouted. Soon this news spread throughout the entire Tsangzhou city. Sima Yue nodded at them and asked, "Where are the president and the others?" "The other guild leaders aren't here. Only guild leader he is." The captain of the guard stepped forward and replied, "I'll bring you in." "All right." Sima Yue entered the mayor's residence and saw the decorations inside. It was comparable to the palaces she had seen before. She sighed with emotion at how the peacocks had exploited the people in the past. However, it was indeed good to use this place as a base for the Guild Alliance. It was a good place to show off. "Yue, you're back." She had just entered the courtyard and had yet to enter the meeting room when He Chendong came out to greet her. "President He." Sima Yue bowed to He Chendong. He Chendong went up to support her and said happily, "After so long, you're finally back." Although they had asked Supreme Fifth Spirit Elder about her situation, and knew that she was not in any danger, they still had to see her to be at ease. "I'm sorry to have made you worry," Sima Yue said apologetically. "It's good that you're safe." He Chendong brought her into the meeting room. This meeting room was very big. It was where City Lord Kong used to entertain guests. They had changed it into a place for the guild leaders to work. "Guild leader, did something happen here? Where are the other guild leaders?" Sima Yue asked. The guild leaders were not around. There was a protective array outside Tsangzhou City, and the city was closed during the day. There were waves of people patrolling the city, giving people a sense of oppression and urgency. "Something did happen," He Chendong said. "Come, let's sit down and talk slowly." Sima Yue sat down. He Chendong waved his hand and let the people in the room leave. His dignified look made her heart sink. Did something really happen to the Guild Alliance? Was it related to the men in black? "In the 2 years that you were away, a lot of big things happened on the road." He Chendong told her about the high-profile comeback of the men in black and the rampant Qi Ling. Many forces couldn't withstand the pressure, and were ruled by the men in black. This time was different from the last time. The men in black were very high-profile this time, and were relatively strong to those forces. They either obeyed or died. Most people still cherished their lives, so many forces became the men in black's forces. If we weren't prepared and were still outside, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to withstand the men in black's attack. He Chendong sighed. But even so, they didn't give up on invading the Guild Alliance. The people on the mainland didn't retaliate? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Now everyone is forming the Rebel Alliance. Old Fong and Old Fan are representing the Guild Alliance to participate in the meeting. What about the other guild leaders? They are still here, but the news announced to the public is that they left. He Chendong said. There's a mole in the Guild Alliance? Sima Yue asked. He Chendong looked at her approvingly. She actually guessed it so quickly with just one sentence. We can't confirm who the mole is yet, but we can confirm that there is one. He Chendong said. But no matter who it is, he will come to take the Guild Alliance's command token. With the command token, they could order the Guild Alliance to join the Men in Black. Speaking of which, the authority of this token was even greater than that of the several guild leaders. They purposely spread the news that he was the only one here, so that the mole could take this opportunity to snatch the command token. Then will my return spoil your plan? Sima Yue asked. Probably not, they don't have time. In a few days, we will join the Rebel Alliance. He Chendong said. Now they are already like an arrow on the bow, they have no choice but to shoot. That's good. Sima Yue was relieved. When I saw the situation at the city gate, I thought something big had happened. He Chendong saw the anxiousness on her face and was happy that she could be so anxious. Why did you take so long to go to the ancient mining area this time? I met with a chance encounter. They were chatting in the meeting hall, as if they didn't notice that the courtyard was slowly being surrounded. The leader stood in the courtyard and looked at the two of them who were talking. He Chendong was right. Now that the arrow was already on the bow, they had no choice but to shoot. Chapter 2199. Sima Yue and He Chendong walked out of the meeting room and saw Chi Chi, the vice president of the Beast Tamer Guild. It's really you. He Chendong was not surprised to see Chi Chi. Chi Chi was also one of the people on their list. They guessed that there were a few Vice Alliance Masters and a few Elders on the list. They were all the kind of people who didn't usually show off and didn't attract much attention. It was this kind of people who did not attract attention and made it easier for them to do things. But at the same time, once they started to suspect, they would start from this angle. These people who had power and kept a low profile naturally became the target of suspicion. Since you've already guessed it, then you should know what I'm going to do today. Chi Chi said. Now the entire alliance has been replaced by my people. President He, you're a smart person. A smart person will not resist for no reason. He Chendong shook his head. You're wrong. President He, are you saying that you're going to resist till the end? Chi Chi laughed coldly. Or are you going to choose death over life? I'm not talking about me. I'm saying that you're wrong. He Chendong said. You won't succeed today. Ha ha ha. Chi Chi laughed loudly. President He, do you think that with one more vice president, you can turn defeat into victory? Chi Chi did not care about Sima Yue. Although he was surprised that Sima Yue came back at this time, he was sure that Sima Yue was not here for what he was going to do today. How would a person who had disappeared for 2 years know that he was going to make a move today? It was just a coincidence. Moreover, Sima Yue's power was not bad, but he had many people and they gave him the chi spirits. Who would dare to not listen to him today? If Sima Yue knew what he was thinking, she would definitely think that he was stupid. If the black-robed man knew that Sima Yue would come back today, he would definitely not give him so much chi spirits. If she did not come back with the chi spirits in his hands, even if He Chendong and the rest were fully prepared, they would not have a chance of winning today. So everything was predestined. Chi Chi, other than the people in this courtyard, the people outside have already been taken care of. Xia Chong Tian and the others brought people in from outside, and the people who were guarding outside were taken care of by them without making a single sound. Chi saw Xia Chong Tian and the other presidents. How could he not understand? So you've already guessed it. You purposely dug a hole for me to jump into. When he saw that his men had died, he didn't feel anything. After all, those people were useless trash. You're not that stupid. Xiang Yang snorted coldly. Ha ha, do you think you can succeed today after killing those people? I've already guessed it, but I didn't take it to heart. Only, that's. With just your little bit of strength, compared to the Lord's, you're far inferior. His men had died, yet he wasn't worried at all. This phenomenon made the other guild leaders frown. He must have some stue. Chi Chi took out a strange thing. Sima Yu looked at it and it looked like black coal. A's Yui Luke. It's presidents, you'd better hand over the command token obediently. There are chi spirits here, I don't need to tell you how powerful they are. Hand over the command token, and I'll spare your lives today. Otherwise, my superiors have instructed me to kill the disobedient guild leader, and there will naturally be an obedient guild leader. I'm only sparing your lives on account of our friendship. You only have one chance, don't you cherish it? Chi Chi looked as though he was thinking for them, making them want to vomit. Hearing about the chi spirits, the presidents finally knew why he was like this and where the uneasiness in their hearts came from. If it was before, they might have a headache, but now, they all looked at Sima Yu at the same time. With her around, how could the chi spirits not die? Ai, He Chendong sighed. Black Robe chose you because you don't pay attention to the outside world and focus on beast taming, right? Someone like you betraying the alliance will definitely catch us off guard. Although I don't know what method they used to brainwash you. They made a mistake which will cause you to lose everything today. They didn't expect that Yue, who went missing for 2 years, would come back at this time. I know she's powerful, but it's useless. These aren't normal chi spirits. Those lightning and fire have no effect on them. Chi had personally seen how powerful these chi spirits were. At that time, hundreds of people had attacked a few chi spirits, but they were all killed by them. Now he had tens of chi spirits in his hands. Even if he killed everyone in the alliance, it would only be a matter of time. Is that so? Then you can try. Sima Yue said indifferently, looking at him as though she was looking at an idiot. Chi was angered by her attitude. He inserted his spiritual energy into the black coal, and a chi spirit floated out. The chi spirit's gaze was ferocious, different from the one Sima Yue had seen before. Looks like the black-robed men had evolved the chi spirits again. The chi spirit looked around, then attacked Xiachang Tian. Pa! A bolt of lightning struck down. The chi spirit didn't even touch the corner of Xiachang Tian's clothes before turning into spiritual energy and dissipating. Chi saw the chi spirit dissipate and wasn't surprised. He was waiting for it to revive. But after waiting for a while, the chi spirit didn't appear again. His expression changed as he shouted, "How is this possible?" He had seen those people use lightning to strike the chi spirits before, but it was completely useless. Why didn't it revive this time? Again, Sima Yue asked. Chi looked at Sima Yue. This time, he directly called out 10 chi spirits. This time, before the chi spirits could observe the surroundings, a few bolts of lightning struck them and they were all killed. This time, there was no revival, not a single one. Chi then knew that her lightning attribute could directly kill the chi spirits. How is this possible? How is this possible? He muttered a few times, then looked at Sima Yue with killing intent and shouted, "It's all because of you. Without you, the chi spirits can revive. I'm going to kill you." After Chi finished speaking, he attacked Sima Yue. The few presidents stood in their original positions without moving. With Chi's strength, he wanted to kill her? It was impossible even in a few lifetimes. Sima Yue only stretched out a hand, lightly passing through Chi's spiritual energy. She grabbed Chi's neck and lifted him up. A middle-stage monarch rank against a middle-stage monarch rank. There was no suspense at all. Chapter 2200. Chi was captured just like that. The people he brought did not even have the chance to resist before they were captured by the alliance. Chi was suspended in the air, unable to breathe. He felt his consciousness slowly becoming blurry. Suddenly he felt a pain in his head. Sima Yue's divine sense had entered his head. Unfortunately, there was no useful information. There was only a person wrapped in a black cloak who came into contact with him and gave him this spiritual energy. As for the reason, it was simple. If he could succeed, he would be given an ancient beast taming technique. Coercion and promises were always so effective. Sima Yue let go of him. The alliance's people came up and brought everyone away. There was not even a drop of blood in the courtyard. From her point of view, today's matter was simply a farce. However, the other presidents did not think so. If she had not rushed back in time, the alliance would have been in trouble. Not only would they not be able to keep the command token, but there would also be rivers of blood. "Yue, why did you come back at this time?" Xiachang Tian walked over and asked. Really? The timing of her return was too good. If she had come back early, the black-clothed people would have gotten the news. Naturally, they would not have ordered Chi to make a move so easily. They would not have been able to find out who the traitor was. If she had come back late, it would be even worse. She probably would not have been able to see them again. Who knew that she had come back just before Chi made a move? The black-clothed people could not change their plans, and they also found the traitor. So, it was better to come back at the right time than at the right time. I came back after the matter was over. Sima Yue replied. Who knew that I would see such a farce when I came back? It was a very dangerous matter just now. She actually said that it was a farce. The other presidents were helpless. Your strength has improved again. Xiangyang said. Is it because of Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior? Yes, I absorbed that energy. It can be considered as solving their problem, Sima Yue said. Good. It's good that you've improved. Xia Changtian laughed twice before shouting. You rascal, you're just over 200 years old, and your strength has reached the middle stage of the monarch realm. This is too inconceivable. You've improved so quickly. Can your body take it? Can your spiritual energy and comprehension keep up? It won't harm you in the future, right? When he said that, the other guild leaders started to worry. It was a good thing to grow stronger, but if one's body couldn't keep up, a good thing would become a bad thing. I don't feel anything wrong yet, Sima Yue said. At this moment, she was thankful that she had been struck by lightning for so many years. The lightning tribulations had made her body much stronger than ordinary people, so she didn't have to worry about her body being unable to withstand such a powerful force. At the same time, the heavenly Tao contained in the lightning tribulation was slowly accumulating in her body, so she didn't have to worry about her comprehension not being able to keep up. Wu Lingyu had taught her the soul refining art and her experience in the ghost realm, so she didn't have to worry about her soul not being able to keep up. All these things did not make her feel uncomfortable at all. From the looks of it, everything he had suffered in the past seemed to have been a preparation for the present. However, she still had some doubts in her heart. For her to have such strength at such a young age, not much of it was due to her own cultivation. Most of it was inherited by her. For example, the old ancestor, Emperor Qingdao, and so on. Logically speaking, in this kind of situation, she should feel uncomfortable, but she felt that this strength was originally hers, and there was no sense of disharmony. And everything seemed to have developed naturally, as if it had been planned long ago. This was too strange. She had doubts in her heart, but no one could answer her. The biggest traitor had been dug out, and a few small shrimps had also been dug out. Song State City returned to its normal life. Sima Yue planned to leave after staying here for a few days. The Black Shadow Man had made such a big move, so she wanted to verify her guess. Knowing that she wanted to leave, the guild leaders didn't stop her. When Xia Changtian and He Chundong came to send her off, they gave her a box. Sima Yue guessed what was inside without opening it. It's not good to leave this with me, right? She didn't take it. The Guild Alliance's command token was similar to the Alliance leader's command token. With this command token, she was considered the Alliance leader of the Guild Alliance, and her orders were obeyed by the entire Guild Alliance. This power wasn't just a little big. What's not good about it? Xia Changtian stuffed the box into her hands. This is the result of us old fellows' discussion. It's best to leave this thing with you, it's safe. That's right. He Chindong also agreed. In the past, the black-clothed people had their eyes on the various guilds. The establishment of the Guild Alliance increased our strength by a lot, but it also made them greedy for our strength. This time it was Chi-Chi. Next time it will be someone else. We don't have the strength to deal with the Chi spirit. The next time you're not around, it will be in danger. All right. Since they had already said so, she would keep it for the time being. It was better for her to keep it than for the black-clothed people to take it. I'm leaving. Go be careful. Sima Yue nodded, took out a small throne, sat on it and left. A few days later, she appeared in Xian City of the 10 continents. The last time she was here, it was when she went to Xianqiu clan. Xianqiu he came here to pick her up, and personally brought her to Xianqiu clan. Now that she was here again, her heart was filled with sorrow. If it was true, would they still be able to get along like before? She entered the city and found an inn to stay. This inn was not very far from the courtyard where Xianqiu he picked her up. This inn was considered Xianqiu clan's property. Maybe Xianqiu clan already knew that she was staying here. Would Xianqiu he know? Would he come to see her? If he saw her, what would they be like? She laid on the bed and unknowingly fell asleep. Darkness, endless darkness. She ran in the darkness. There was no end in front of her. And behind her was a bottomless abyss. She could hear the sound of her panting, and the sound of her sweat dripping. Puffed, she used up all her strength, tripped over something, and fell to the ground, unable to get up. Continue running. A hoarse voice came from all around. She raised her head, her eyes filled with fear and terror. Who are you? She struggled to sit up, looking around. There was no one. Are you still running? If not, prepare to die. The voice was filled with joy. Seeing the fear in her eyes, it was very satisfied. Don't kill me, she shouted. A hand appeared out of nowhere and pierced through her heart. She raised her head, only to see a pair of beautiful but dark eyes. That hand withdrew from her body. She heard the sound of blood splattering. Ah! Sima Yue opened her eyes on the bed. Her clothes were drenched in cold sweat again. Chapter 2201. She laid on the bed, gasping for air, the fear in her eyes slowly dissipating. She wanted to sit up, but her entire body was weak, without any strength. That feeling of death, it was too real. It was as if she was really the person who was killed. It was the second time. It was a similar dream, the same pair of eyes, the pair of eyes that she was so familiar with yet so unfamiliar. After lying on the bed for a while, the fear that did not belong to her dissipated. After her body recovered, she set up an enchantment and entered the spirit pagoda. She leaned against the side of the bathtub. The water wrapped around her entire body, dispelling the remaining discomfort in her body. After soaking for a while, she came out and went to find Elder Bai. Qingyi came out of seclusion and was talking to Elder Bai. Elder Bai, Qingyi, I have something to ask you. Sima Yue said. This is quite rare. Qingyi smiled. This was the first time she asked them. What do you want to ask us? Elder Bai asked. Sima Yue told him about Emperor Qingdao and how she absorbed the power that Emperor Qingdao left behind. She also told him about the 2 dreams she had. Then she asked, is it possible that because of the relationship between Emperor Qingdao and it, I have a connection with it? That's not impossible. Elder Bai said, the connection between the 2 of you allows you to feel what it is doing. The scene in your dream could be what it is doing. Sima Yue felt that this was very likely, but she still had a question in her heart. If that's really the reason, why don't I see it from its point of view every time, but from the victim's point of view? We don't know about this, it's just a guess. Qingyi said, maybe it's because the 2 of you influence each other, or maybe it's because of other reasons. You have to find the answer yourself. You don't know, but it might know. Elder Bai guessed. You only have Emperor Qingdao's power, you don't know about other things. It might know more than you. This was very likely. No matter what, you have to separate what you see in your dream from yourself. Qingyi said, you can't let those emotions affect your heart. Every time, she would bring those people in her dreams into her mind. If she didn't handle those emotions well, it might affect her temperament and even her Dao heart. I will. Thank you. Sima Yue would not let these things affect her. However, Qingyi and the others reminded her that she had to be more careful. She couldn't let these negative emotions take advantage of her. She chatted with Qingyi and Elder Bai for a while, asking them about some of the interesting stories they knew. She only went out when she guessed that it was already dawn outside. She walked around Xian City. Initially, she just wanted to find out about the situation and see if she could get any news about the Xianqiu clan. She didn't expect to see Xian Yuan Pavilion in the city. Seeing the familiar sign on the door, she subconsciously walked in. Hello, how can I help you? A female employee walked over and asked. I'm just looking around. Sima Yue said. Good. If you need anything, you can tell us. The female employee didn't pester her after she finished speaking. She just kept on paying attention to her situation. Sima Yue walked around the first and second floor. She said that she was looking at these things, but it was more like she was reminiscing about the past through these things. During this time, the employees in the shop kept on paying attention to her. They didn't have any objections because she didn't intend to buy anything. Xian Yuan Pavilion's service always made people feel comfortable. After walking around for a while, she casually chose 2 items that seemed to be more expensive. Seeing that the employee from before had other customers, she went to the counter to settle the bill. It's a total of 10,000 top-grade crystals. Sima Yue took out her crystal card and handed it to the person in charge of the bill. She then kept the items. This is your crystal card. The person in charge of the bill took out 10,000 crystals and handed the card back. Sima Yue kept the card and asked, "I want to see your manager here." "I'm sorry, our manager is very busy right now," the person in charge of the bill said. "Do you have any other needs? If there's nothing important, you can tell us first." Sima Yue took out the token in her hand. "I want to know some things. If he's busy, I can wait for him." When the person in Xianyuan Pavilion saw the token in her hand, his attitude became even more respectful. "So it's Miss Yue. The manager is indeed meeting with a very important person right now. Can we bring you to the VIP room to wait for him?" "Sure." Sima Yue didn't make things difficult for them. She followed the employee to the VIP room. "Please wait here for a while. Once the meeting with the manager is over, we'll inform him to come over immediately." "Okay." Soon someone served tea. Sima Yue waited for a while. A woman in a green dress walked in from outside. "I didn't expect Miss Yue to come to our place. Something happened just now. I'm really sorry." The woman in the green dress smiled as she walked in. "I'm the manager here, Hong Ro. It's okay. I'm just here for a walk." Sima Yue smiled as she sized her up. Her name was Hong Ro. She liked green clothes. "I heard that you want to know some things. Do you want to know about the black-robed men?" Hong Ro sat down and asked. "That's one of the things. I also want to know about the Xianqiu clan," Sima Yue said. This place was so close to the Xianqiu clan, and Xianyuan Pavilion was good at gathering information. Even if the Xianqiu clan was a hidden clan, they should know some information. "I wonder what Miss Yue wants to know about them?" Hong Ro asked. "Young Master Xianqiu he. I want to know some things about him. Xianqiu he is no longer the young master. He became the head of the Xianqiu clan 100 years ago." Hong Ro was surprised that she didn't know about this. Thinking about it, she went missing not long after she woke up. It was normal that she didn't know about this. "I didn't expect him to be the head of the clan." Sima Yue was surprised. Wasn't the head of the clan fine before? Why did he suddenly become the head of the clan? "The old head is dead. He died in the Xianqiu clan. Many people said that he killed the old head," Hong Ro said. "Is that so?" Sima Yue didn't have a good impression of the Xianqiu clan. She didn't care whether they were dead or not. She asked about other things and Hong Ro answered them one by one. At this moment, a servant girl walked in with a piece of paper in her hand. Seeing Sima Yue here, she was stunned. She walked in front of Hong Ro and said softly, "Manager, this is the news from the people you asked us to pay attention to." Chapter 2202. Hong Ro smiled at Sima Yue and took the news from the servant. She frowned and said, "Miss Yue, take a look at this." Sima Yue looked at her suspiciously. She thought that it was Xianyuan Pavilion's own business. She didn't expect her to take a look at it. "It's about your disciple," Hong Ro explained. "Because your disciple went missing, we've been paying attention to this matter." Sima Yue heard that it was about Musi and immediately took a look at it. Musi appeared? He hasn't appeared for so many years. Why would he appear now? She was puzzled. "I don't know, but someone did see him in Mulberry City," Hong Ro said. Sima Yue looked down at the news in her hand. She was conflicted about whether it was true or not. But she made up her mind after hesitating for a while. No matter whether it was true or not, she had to take a look. She couldn't afford to gamble. But wasn't it too much of a coincidence that this news came when she was about to look for Xianqiu he? "Since that's the case, I won't disturb you." She got up and left. Hong Ro sent her out. When she came back, she sat on the chair and remained silent. "Hong Ro, why did you ask me to send the news in at this time?" The person who sent the news came in and sat beside Hong Ro. She didn't look like a servant from her casual actions. Actually, the news was sent in the day before. She didn't know why she asked her to send it in today. Hong Ro closed her eyes and didn't speak. The woman didn't rush her either. "Someone came to find me this morning. She said that if Sima Yue came, I should tell her this news." Hong Ro said. "Who is the other party? Why are you so obedient?" The woman asked. "What's important isn't who he is but what he said." If Miss Yue doesn't leave this place, her life will be in danger. You believe her? It's better to believe it than not. Hongro said. Besides, this news is true. She's really worried about her disciple. Alright, this Sima Yu isn't that easy to fool. I wonder what her temper is like. If she finds out that you lied to her, will she bear a grudge against you? That lady shrugged, looking like she was watching a show. I don't know. We'll see. Hongro rolled her eyes. How long are you going to stay here? I was planning to leave, but now I want to stay and watch the show. The woman chuckled. Up to you. Hongro had rested enough. She got up and left the VIP room. The woman left soon after. After they left, a scarlet bee quietly flew away from the window. When Sima Yue heard the news, she sighed. Indeed, someone was behind this. He didn't need to think to know who the mastermind was. Thinking of this, she sighed, sat on the small throne, and left Xian City. Not long after she left, the space opened up. Xian Xiuhe, who was dressed in white, walked out. His eyes were filled with sorrow. Sima Yue did not go to Sangcheng. Instead, she went back to the Sima family. The Sima family was overjoyed to see her return. After going missing for 2 years, she was finally back. Great-grandfather, grandfather, grandmother, father, mother. Sima Yue bowed to them one by one. No matter how strong she was or how high her status was outside, she was still a junior at home. She was still their daughter, granddaughter, great-granddaughter. Since you're back this time, don't go out. Sima Zhiyuan couldn't bear to see her go through those things. Great-grandfather, I didn't go missing for 2 years. I was absorbing the spiritual energy left behind by Emperor Qingdao. Sima Yue said helplessly. Also, other than the previous one, I know a few other tombs that he left behind. If I were at home, I wouldn't be able to get that spiritual energy. Alright then. Since there was such an opportunity, he couldn't waste it. Then how long will you stay this time? Yu Kaluo asked. I'll leave in a while. Sima Yue replied. So early? I received news about Mu Si. I'm going to Sangcheng to take a look. Sima Yue said. I came back first, because I have some news to tell you. Seeing her serious face, the others also became serious. Let's go inside and talk. They came to the meeting room. Sima Yue called all the maids in the room out, and then set up a soundproof barrier. Seeing her like this, everyone knew that what she was going to say was important. Great-grandfather, grandfather, I haven't personally verified what I'm going to say, but it should be close to the truth. After you know about it, you have to verify it. If it's true, then announce it to the world. Sima Yue said. What's the matter that made you say it was so serious? The mastermind behind the Black Shadow and the Qi Spirit should be the Xianqiu clan. Sima Yue said. What? Really? Her words were like a bomb that exploded on them. She had such a good relationship with Xianqiu. How could it be the Xianqiu clan? In their eyes, those who would do such a thing must be those who like to do bad things. The Xianqiu clan had always kept a low profile. No one would link them to this matter. Yu, how did you know about this? Huang Yingying asked. Sima Yue told her everything she knew and guessed. Then she said, I originally wanted to find Xianqiu, but I knew Mu Si's whereabouts, so I didn't verify it. I thought about it and decided to let you know about this matter first. You can go and verify it. If it's really them, we can't let them continue to cause trouble. It's been hard on you. Yuko Luo's heart ached for her daughter. She heard about the matter between Sima Yue and Xianqiu. She knew that her daughter was loyal and had a good relationship with Xianqiu. Now that she was doing this, it was a difficult thing for her to do. I believe that this matter was not his intention. If it's that thing that did this, I will pull it out from his body and consign it to eternal damnation. Sima Yue said hatefully. She would not give up on Xianqiu. We'll send people to investigate now. As long as there's a direction, this matter will be easier to investigate. Sima Zhiyuan said. It was not easy to investigate previously because the continent was so big. Anyone could be involved in this matter. So the scope of investigation was too big, and it was not easy to find any useful information. Now that they were targeting the Xianqiu clan, No matter how careful they were, they would give themselves away. This kind of investigation was targeted and could be done easily. Then I'll arrange it, Sima Lai said. Go tell people to be careful, Sima Zhiyuan reminded. I know. Sima Lai stood up and left after speaking. When he reached the door, he remembered Sima Yoyue's barrier. Sima Yue kept the barrier and Sima Lai went out. She said to the others, I'm going to Mulberry City to take a look. Chapter 2203. Is it easy to check if you go alone? Why don't your mother and I bring some people to go with you? Sima Lu Xian said worriedly. No need, Xianyuan Pavilion is there. Since this news came from Xianyuan Pavilion, they must know about it. With them around, I can ask directly. Sima Yue declined. If the news is true, I will continue to look for it. If the news is false, I will go to Emperor Qingdao's basic tomb. She had already planned the road ahead. It was indeed inconvenient to bring her parents along. Besides, her current strength was far beyond theirs, so they didn't have to worry about her. Yu Kaluo opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but when she thought of her stubborn personality, she swallowed the rest of her words. This child really made them proud and worried. Sima Yue left as quietly as when she came back. The Sima family only knew that she came back after she left. Many people couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Their family's young miss was going further and further away. Even if the Sima family had developed into a first-rate family, they still couldn't catch up with her speed. After a few days, Sima Yue appeared in Mulberry City. Mulberry City was very far away. Even if she took a spaceship, it would take a few months to reach. At this time, she was once again glad that she had such a good thing like the small throne. She didn't know how Ming made such a good thing. She thought that the materials must have cost a lot. But he was the king of the underworld, so it wasn't a problem for him to make such a thing. When she came to Xianyuan Pavilion, Manager Chen Yu was very surprised. They had special channels to pass on information, so Hong Ro just received the news when she sent him the news. She clearly said that Miss Yue was still in Xian City a few days ago. How did she come to Mulberry City in just a few days? But although he was surprised, he still treated Sima Yue well. Sima Yue saw Chen Yu and didn't beat around the bush. She said directly, Manager Chen. Manager Hong said that you spread the news that you saw Mu Si in Mulberry City? Yes, we did spread the news to all the Xianyuan pavilions, Chen Yu replied. The various Xianyuan pavilions were independent, but they all belonged to the Jun family, and were under the Jun family's overall control. Therefore, if there was any news, it had to be passed on to the other Xianyuan pavilions. Especially regarding Sima Yoyue's case, the higher-ups had issued an order that once there was any discovery, they had to report it urgently. Is this news true? Have you really seen my disciple? Sima Yue asked. We can't be sure about that, but someone has indeed seen a man who looks very similar to him. We can't be sure if it's him or not, Chen Yu replied. Do you have any evidence? Yes. Chen Yu took out a shadow stone and said, This is the rule we follow when we investigate. If we encounter such a situation, we have to use a shadow stone to record it. Sima Yue did not expect them to have such a trick up their sleeves. She thought to herself that the Xianyuan Pavilion was indeed not an ordinary force. Chen Yu injected spiritual power into the shadow stone, and a scene appeared in front of Sima Yue. In it, there were a few people walking on the road. They seemed to have sensed something and walked over. The scene ended there. Perhaps because it was too short, Chen Yu said apologetically, The people around him are very strong. In order not to be discovered, so, it's okay, it's already very good. Sima Yue said, It's enough. Is that person Mu Si? Chen Yu asked. Yes. Sima Yue nodded. That person is Mu Si. Although it was only the last 1 or 2 seconds, she recognized that the person who was surrounded in the middle was Mu Si. Although his aura seemed a little different and he had lost a lot of weight, she could still recognize him at a glance. He had been by her side for so many years and she had personally taught him for so many years. Hearing her affirmative answer, Chen Yu was relieved. At least she did not make a wasted trip. When did this happen? Sima Yue asked. More than half a month ago. Chen Yu said. It took a few days for the news to spread. It also took a few days for you to come. Do you know where they are now? Did you send people to follow them? We sent 2 groups before, but they were discovered and killed. After that, we lost track of their whereabouts. Chen Yu said. Lost track of them? Sima Yue was a little disappointed. However, we heard them mention a place. We don't know if they will go there. Chen Yu said. Where is it? Qingliang City. Qingliang City? Where is that? Is it far from here? We didn't know about Qingliang City before. We sent people to check it out, and we just got the news back. Chen Yu took out a stack of papers and placed it in front of Sima Yue. Sima Yue picked up the information and read it. Her brows furrowed tighter. This Qingliang City really wasn't a good place. This Qingliang City seems to be quite similar to Bloodfiend City. To a certain extent, Qingliang City is the continuation of Bloodfiend City. Chen Yu said. After Bloodfiend City was destroyed, those people had nowhere to go, so more of them went to Qingliang City. But that place is not as secure as Bloodfiend City, and it is more chaotic. Who are those people? Why did they bring Mu Si to Qingliang City? Sima Yue thought of Mu Si, who was like a walking corpse under the surveillance of those people, and her heart ached. Where was the spirit in that pair of eyes from before? His entire person looked as if he had been sucked dry of energy. His lifeless look made people unable to recognize him. And the person who brought Mu Si away was Xian Qiuhe, a man in black. Who were those people around him? Miss Yue, are you going to Qingliang City? Chen Yu asked. Of course I am going. Sima Yue kept all the information about Qingliang City. Perhaps there would be some useful information there. Miss Yue, our Xianyuan Pavilion doesn't have a pavilion branch in Qingliang City. If you are going there, you have to be careful. If you can, it's better to bring more people over. Chen Yu said worriedly. It's not. Sima Yue wanted to say that it was fine, but she stopped halfway. The corners of her mouth rose, and her eyes were smiling. I will bring people over. Chen Yu saw that she seemed to be in a better mood. He didn't know what she thought of, but after saying some useful information, he sent her out respectfully. Sima Yue came to a secluded alley. Just as she stood there, she was hugged from behind. The familiar embrace, the familiar smell. The smile on her lips deepened. Holding the hand in front of her chest, she said, "Why are you here?" Chapter 2204. Wu Lingyu hugged her tightly, as if he wanted to rub her into his chest. He bent down beside her ear and said, "I missed you, so I came." Sima Yue sensed that there was no one around, and brought him into the spirit pagoda. Once they were in the pagoda, the two of them did not have to worry so much. After a long and affectionate hug and kiss, Wu Lingyu finally let go of her slightly and hugged her to sit on his lap. Sima Yue hugged his neck and leaned her head on his body, saying, "You came back like this. How are things in the devil realm? If you come back like this, will it affect things over there?" "Don't worry, the situation over there has already improved," Wu Lingyu said lightly. "That devil king has been the king of the devil realm for so long after all. The entire devil realm is under his rule. Although you still have some loyal followers, compared to the devil king's power, it will definitely be very difficult." Sima Yue did not believe his words. "You already wasted a lot of time in the ghost realm because of me, and now you came back. There was indeed something going on a while ago. That's why you took so long to come back." Wu Lingyu did not deny it. The current situation was indeed more difficult for him. With her intelligence, how could she not know? "But you don't have to worry, I didn't stay in the devil realm for so many years for nothing. I still have the time to come back." "Why, you don't want to see me?" "Of course I do. I miss you every day." Sima Yue rubbed her head against his neck. She had been thinking about him since she woke up, according to her personality, and her thoughts when she was going through the tribulation with the Ghost King. If it was not for the black-robed man, she would have gone to the devil realm to look for him. "What are you thinking about?" Wu Lingyu's lips curled up. His tone was not right. "Everything," Sima Yue answered kindly. Hearing her words, Wu Lingyu hugged her and leaned back. The stool from before disappeared and was replaced by a large bed. All of a sudden, she was on top while he was on bottom. Sima Yue laid on top of him. Seeing his deep gaze, she was not shy at all. She even lowered her head and pecked him on the lips. Before I came here, I went to the Sima family, Wu Lingyu said. And then? I saw your parents. And then? They said they're going to marry you to me. So? Let's get married. Here? Here. 2 rings suddenly appeared in Wu Lingyu's hands. They were different from ordinary spatial rings. These rings were the ones she had drawn in her previous life. When did you forge this? Sima Yue was shocked when she saw the ring. She could not help but smile. That's not important. Wu Lingyu held the rings and looked at her sincerely. Miss Sima Yue, are you willing to marry Mr. Wu Lingyu and be his wife, love him and accompany him for the rest of your life? No matter how strong you are, no matter how many outstanding men you have, will you only love him? Sima Yue heard his awkward vows and laughed so hard that she almost fell off his body, but he caught her with his other hand. Yue, are you willing to marry me? Wu Lingyu looked at her. Sima Yue's smile widened. Her eyes filled with tears. She bit her lips and nodded under his expectant gaze. I'm willing. Okay, now it's your turn to ask me, Wu Lingyu said seriously. Sima Yue laid on top of Wu Lingyu, her forearm in front of his chest. She smiled and said, Mr. Wu Lingyu, are you willing to marry Sima Yue and love her, pamper her and accompany her for the rest of your life, regardless of wealth or status, and never leave her? I'm willing. Hearing these 3 words, the tears that had accumulated in Sima Yue's eyes finally fell. She sniffed and said, Then I announce that Mr. Wu Lingyu and Miss Sima Yue are officially married. Groom, you can kiss your bride now. She went up and he went down. In the entire world, only their wedding ceremony was so weird. After Wu Lingyu heard her words, his clear eyes were filled with lust and desire. He hugged her and rolled to the middle of the bed. You can only kiss your bride. We're going to enter the bridal chamber now. The ceremony isn't over yet. We haven't put on the rings yet. I know you're in a hurry. You can put on the rings later. Not in a hurry. Would she say that they could kiss before putting on the rings? Okay, it seemed like that was the case. Then let's enter the bridal chamber first. As for the rings, let's just pounce on him first. The hibiscus canopy was extremely warm. Sima Yue counted with her fingers. They had already been in the bridal chamber for a few months. She poked the naked body beside her and said, Have we been here for too long? Not long, it's only been a day outside. Wu Lingyu's large hands started to move around her body again. Lingyu, we can't. Can't what? Wu Lingyu didn't care, but Sima Yue was kissed until she was dizzy and forgot what was behind can't. When she got down from his bed, she felt that her body wasn't hers anymore. If she hadn't been refining her body with lightning, she would have died long ago. Yu, where do you think you're going? A strong and powerful arm blocked her from behind, and with a pull, she was once again pulled back onto the bed. Sima Yue pressed down on his roaming hands and said, Lingyu, don't, I'm tired. You deserve to be punished for not answering me. Wu Lingyu bit her ear from behind. I don't feel too good. I want to go to the hot spring, Sima Yue said. Hot spring? That's a good idea. Let's go. Wu Lingyu was very satisfied with her suggestion. Sima Yue was speechless. She had clearly said, I, but when he said it, it became we. Without a doubt, the people who were going to the hot spring were us. As for how the 2 of them splashed the water from the hot spring onto the shore, she was determined not to tell him. When the 2 of them were tired, Wu Lingyu leaned on the shore while Sima Yue leaned into his embrace and played with his slender fingers. How long can you stay in the human realm? Sima Yue asked him. When she thought that the 2 of them might have to separate again soon, her heart was filled with reluctance. I should be able to accompany you to end the matter in Qingliang City, Wu Lingyu said. Any longer, and he was afraid that it wouldn't be possible. Sima Yue wanted to talk about Xian Qiuhe, but suddenly thought that it wasn't appropriate to talk about other men at this time. She changed the topic and asked, that demon king, the one who harmed you, is his ancestor. Actually, even if you were reborn, you don't have to fight him to death, right? Is there any other reason? The person who killed me borrowed his body to come back to life. So, I'm not only facing the current Demon King, but also my former enemy. Chapter 2205. Sima Yue was speechless when she heard Wu Lingyu's words. However, she thought about how Wu Lingyu's soul could not hold on until now. It was not impossible for the great Demon King to use some secret technique to survive. However, if that was the case, Wu Lingyu and he would definitely die together. After I save Musi, I will go to the demon realm with you, she said softly. Wu Lingyu hesitated for a moment before replying, okay. If she married a great demon king, she would naturally follow him to the demon realm. Anyway, it was not like she had not been there before. You don't care about Xian Qiuhe's matter anymore? Sima Yue did not mention it, but he did. You know about it? Sima Yue asked. Didn't I say that I would go back to the Sima family first? Wu Lingyu said. Although you were not around, I could not leave immediately, so I chatted with father and mother for a while. Wu Lingyu said the words father and mother very smoothly. Perhaps he had said it thousands of times in his heart. Sima Yue heard these two words and smiled. She raised her head and kissed his chin, then said, I don't think his matter is so easy to solve. She told him about her dream. She did not tell father and mother about this as she was afraid that they would be worried. You were the one who entered his side, which means that he is more powerful than you. Wu Lingyu said, since this thing has already merged with Xian Qiuhe, it will be more troublesome to deal with it. I always feel that he is paying attention to my matters, and he seems to know about my matters, Sima Yue said. Didn't you say that he was still very normal the last time you saw him? If I didn't guess wrongly, he has not completely merged with Xian Qiuhe yet. And you might be the key for it to completely take over his body. Me? Why? Sima Yue did not understand. I have heard of something similar before. In the past, it was just some negative things, not a complete whole. Now, if you want to possess a person's body, you have to make yourself complete first. Wu Lingyu speculated. It's pulling you into the dream now to strengthen the connection between the two of you, so that you won't reject it later. Then according to what you said, wouldn't it be better to just take over my body? Why go through so much trouble? It wasn't born with Xian Qiuhe? If that's the case, it means that there might be some restrictions, Wu Lingyu continued. Besides, even if you let it into your body, would it dare to? Do you dare? Of course not. She had top-grade purple lightning in her body. If it dared to enter her body, she would immediately strike it to death. Besides, even without little Z, it wouldn't dare to come. She was afraid that it wouldn't be able to withstand the unique attribute of being struck by lightning once when she advanced. After all, the lightning tribulation was the nemesis of dark beings like them. Alright, if he didn't dare to enter her body and wanted to complete himself, then he could only absorb the things that belonged to Emperor Qingdao. Thinking of this, she snorted coldly. I don't know if it'll absorb me or if I'll destroy it when the time comes. You still have to be careful. Emperor Qingdao didn't deal with it back then, which means that it's still very strong, Wu Lingyu warned. I know, I won't underestimate it. Sima Yue nodded. Oh right, I have something to ask you. Can you give me some advice? Alright. Sima Yue told him about Samsara, then mentioned the woman who was familiar with Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, and the woman that Emperor Songlan liked. They all look exactly the same as me, even the mole behind my ear. Do you think they're me? She asked. Don't you already have a guess in your heart? Wu Lingyu felt her slip down a little, so he hugged her and lifted her up a little, then continued. You can see them through various channels, which means that they definitely have something to do with you. They also look the same, so it's not hard to guess the connection. That's what you think too. Wu Lingyu was right, she actually already had this guess in her heart, but she still couldn't confirm it completely. Now that even Wu Lingyu said so, she couldn't find any reason not to believe that those people were actually her. But this way, there were even more questions in her heart, and they were questions that no one could answer for her. Even though Wu Lingyu was behind her back, he still knew what she was thinking. He pinched her softness and said, some things don't necessarily need an answer. We can't verify it, so don't think about it. Why don't we think about other things? What other things? Sima Yue knew that she had asked for nothing, because she could already feel that guy pressing against her. It must be because he's been suppressing it for too long. Sima Yue thought to herself after being tormented. It seemed like she couldn't punish him by not letting him eat meat in the future. Then she would be the one to suffer. After eating his fill, Wu Lingyu then followed her to see her beasties. Of course, what greeted him was the black faces of all the beasties. This man had eaten their yu dry just like that. If this could be tolerated, what could be tolerated? These beasts could not tolerate it even more. Thus, other than Qi Yan, all the beasties went up. They had to vent their anger today. Sima Yue stood beside Qi Yan, not intending to help anyone. Qi Yan saw Sima Yue, who was emitting a woman's scent, and his eyes flashed, his heart slightly moved. The little girl he had followed for so many years had finally transformed into a woman. The beasties laid on the ground unwillingly. With so many of them, they couldn't even defeat him. Too hateful. Don't you guys always say this? Imagination is full, reality is skinny. If you want to defeat me, you guys should continue to cultivate. Woo woo woo, you're so powerful. What if you bully you in the future? Little Roar lay on Little Dream, crying sadly. Sima Yue walked over, hugged him, and then held Little Dream, comforting her. How would he bully me? If he really bullies me, I'll divorce him. Okay? Really? Little Gold was also crying sadly. Their Yu was eaten by him just like that. Although this was a man they approved of, they still felt sad when they thought of this. Little Lucky was also in the group that attacked just now. He crawled up from the ground and said, "Don't be afraid, sister. If he dares to bully you, you don't want him, marry me." That's right. Or you can marry my brothers too. Little 11 sat on the ground, matching Little Lucky's words. Sima Yue pursed her lips. These guys, what were they saying? She had no interest in beastly love. When Wu Lingyu heard these words, his face instantly darkened. He walked over, took Little Roar out from Sima Yue's embrace, and threw him into Little Dream's embrace, saying, "She's mine in this life, she'll only be mine. You guys can forget about those little thoughts." Chapter 2206. Sima Yue pinched the flesh on his waist and said, "Don't bully them." "When did I?" Wu Lingyu said aggrievedly. "They're the ones who bullied me. They're my beasties. It's nothing to bully you." Sima Yue snorted. That's right. When the beasties heard this, they felt much better. Even if they were married, Yue would still be biased towards them. "All right. I won't argue with them," Wu Lingyu said generously. Sima Yue glanced at him. He had already beaten them up. What was the use of saying this now? Wu Lingyu even smiled at her with an "I'm the most obedient" look. She pacified the beasties and then brought Wu Lingyu out. They had stayed in the spirit pagoda for so long, and had spent more than a day in the outside world. If there was nothing else, she wanted to be lovey-dovey with him. But she was worried about Musi now. Being able to stay in there for so long was already her bottom line. Wu Lingyu knew this too, so he didn't say anything and followed her out. Sima Yue took out the small throne and said, "This time, I'll let you experience the power of the small throne." All right. Wu Lingyu sat on it. Just as the two of them were about to leave, there was a commotion in the space ring. "Yue, where are you? Big brother and the others have found out about Musi. I'll send it over to you now." Siyu said. "I'm going to Qingliang City now. Let's meet there?" Sima Yue replied. All right. Sima Yue knew that Siyu had a way to go from Ghost City to other cities quickly, so they didn't have to wait too long to meet in Qingliang City. A day later, they arrived at Qingliang City. This was a newly developed place where the outlaws gathered. Sima Yue stood outside the city and lamented. If Bloodfiend City wasn't destroyed back then, it probably wouldn't have developed so quickly. According to the news, more than 100 years ago, Qingliang City was not so powerful and did not have much fame. Those fugitives would first think of Bloodfiend City and not Qingliang City. After the Bloodfiend City was destroyed by the lightning tribulation, this place developed rapidly. The scale expanded by several times, and the number of people who came here increased by a lot. Although these people were all outlaws and were lone individuals, after arriving here, The entire Qingliang city had condensed into a force because of similar circumstances. Of course, this was only when they were united against outsiders. There were still many different forces in the city. She called Little Lucky, Little 11, and Little 7 out. Since these two fellows were here to broaden their horizons, it would be good for them to see more of these things. Little 10, is this Qingliang city? She doesn't look any different. Little 11 held Sima Yoyue's hand and said, "These cities all look the same from the outside. We won't know what's inside until we go in," Sima Yue said. "Then is your little disciple really here? This place is so big. How are you going to find them?" Little 11 looked worried for her, but the excitement in his words was not concealed at all. This fellow, he probably still wanted to watch the show. Little 11, elder sister is very worried about Musi. Musi is very good too. When we go in, we can't cause trouble for elder sister. Little Lucky patted Little 11's head. "Oh, I understand. I got it." Little 11 nodded. Although she liked to play, she didn't want to cause trouble for Sima Yue. Sima Yue looked at the two little fellows and smiled. Luckily they were obedient. She looked at Little 7 and Little 7 understood what she meant. She nodded and said, "I'll take good care of them." Sima Yue felt that these words were not very convincing. She herself was an impulsive person. If she were to take care of these two who liked to be lively, it would be impossible for them to not cause trouble. But these two little fellows liked Little 7 and listened to her. She could only let Little 7 take care of them. "Should we go in first or wait for Siyu to come?" Wu Lingyu asked. "Let's go in first. Once she's in, she'll naturally come in to find us," Sima Yue said. If they went in first, they could first check on Musi and see if they could find anything. But when they wanted to enter the city, they were stopped. "Do you have a referral?" the guard asked. "Referral? We need a referral to enter the city." It was the first time Sima Yue heard of such a thing. Without a referral, who knows if you're here to look for your enemies? The people in the city are protected. We have to be responsible for them. The guard replied. "Then what about the people who want to seek refuge? Can't they go in? Since Qingliang City is here to avoid enemies, isn't this shutting them out? This doesn't match your original intention, right?" Little 7 said. "You have enemies?" The guard sized them up. He obviously did not believe them. Other people would be in a sorry state when they came, but these few people looked calm. How did they look like they were being chased? "Yes." Sima Yue nodded affirmatively. "Then each of you will pay 100,000 top-grade crystals." The guard hesitated for a while before coming to a conclusion. Sima Yue pursed her lips. 100,000 top-grade crystals per person. This made her want to vomit blood. There were 5 of them. That would cost 500,000? These were top-grade crystals, not cabbages that could be found on the streets. Although she felt the pinch, she still paid 500,000 top-grade crystals. If she had known, she would not have let the 3 of them come out so early. After you go in, there will be people watching you to make sure that you're not here to cause trouble. If you go in to seek revenge, someone will ask you to come out. The guard kept the crystals and said. Although he said ask, his method was naturally not so gentle. "We understand." Sima Yue did not refute. Once they went in, it was not up to them to decide. After some twists and turns, they finally entered the city and found an inn to stay at according to the address given by the guard. "From the moment we entered the city, we were being watched," Wu Lingyu said. "Seems like there's an expert here." "I felt it too," Sima Yue replied. "But the other party is only paying attention to us. If we don't cause trouble, they probably won't do anything to us. I wonder if Siyu and the others can come in. The people from Ghost City are still very powerful. This kind of thing is just a small matter to them," Sima Yue said. "That's true." They walked on the streets. The streets were filled with people who were emitting killing intent. Because they were new faces, they attracted a lot of attention. It was Little 11 and Little Lucky's first time seeing a place like this. They were very curious when they saw those people. If it were not for the warning before entering the city, they would have already let themselves loose and caused trouble everywhere. Sima Yue saw their gazes and sighed helplessly. A clan that liked to fight would always be a clan that liked to fight. Especially the little ones from the clan that liked to fight. They were really hard to take care of. Chapter 2207. Although little 11 was curious, she controlled herself and didn't do anything. Thus they arrived at the inn safely. There were quite a few people in the inn. The city was too big, and it would take many days to travel between the different districts. If they needed to do something, they would need to stop over. Thus, most of these inns catered to the people in the city. The inn didn't have a small courtyard. Wu Lingyu asked for 2 rooms. He let little 7 and the 2 little fellows stay in one room while he and Sima Yue stayed in the other. "You're a man. You should stay with me," Little Lucky said. "We're already married. We're husband and wife." Wu Lingyu didn't care about his protests and brought Sima Yue back to the room. What? What marriage? We didn't even see it. Annoying. Little Lucky muttered a few times before following little 7 back to the room, who asked them to not be able to beat him. When they returned to the room, Sima Yue leaned into Wu Lingyu's embrace and said, "They need some time to adjust." "I know, but they still want to accept it." Wu Lingyu was depressed in his heart. They had clearly accepted him before. Who knew that they would have such a big reaction after they got married? "They probably don't think that we're married. It's been hard on you. When the situation gets better over there, we'll hold the wedding," Wu Lingyu said. "It shouldn't take more than a few years." "I don't think it's hard." Sima Yue rubbed against his embrace. "When I was going through the lightning tribulation with grandfather, I thought that if I could survive, I would definitely push you down. After that incident, I understood that being together is the best. There's no need to care about those external things. So I don't care if there's a grand wedding or not. As long as I can be with you, it's fine. We will always be together." Wu Lingyu kissed her forehead and said gently. She didn't care, but he wanted to give her the best. He would definitely give her a wedding. They stayed in the inn for 2 days. During the day, they would walk around together and return to the inn to rest at night. She released many scarlet bees, hoping to find out some information. She drew the faces of the people around Mu Si and asked them from the side. No one could recognize these people, or the clothes they were wearing. Will they really come to Qingliang City? Sima Yue was a little uncertain. Chen Yu also said that the people of the Xianyuan Pavilion only heard the name of Qingliang City, and did not hear them say that they would come here. What if they just happened to mention it? What if he changed his mind and decided not to come? It wasn't easy to get a clue about Mu Si. If she couldn't save him, she didn't know when she would get news of him again. "Don't worry. Qingliang City is so big. We've only checked a little. He might be somewhere else." Wu Lingyu comforted him. "We don't know why they took him, and we don't know his current situation. When Siyu comes, we might be able to get some useful information." "I hope so. Mu Si is still alive after being captured for 12 years. This means that the other party won't take his life. As long as he's alive, there's hope," Wu Lingyu analyzed. "You're right too. But we still have to save him as soon as possible so that I can be at ease. What if they keep him alive just to let him do things? When they're done, they'll kill him and we won't make it in time." "Okay." On the afternoon of the second day, Siyu finally found her in. "Yue, you're finally out. I thought you were going to disappear for many years again." Siyu was rather excited when she saw her. She ran over and hugged her. "How did you get in?" Sima Yue hugged her back and asked her. "What do you mean, how did we get in? We just walked in like that." Siyu didn't understand what she meant. "The gatekeeper didn't make things difficult for you?" "No, I just showed my spiritual energy. He saw that I was of the dark attribute and let me in. That's all?" Siyu's words made Sima Yue want to vomit. If that was all, then her 500,000 top-grade crystals. Her heart hurt. "Did you find out Mu Si's identity?" Wu Lingyu asked. Sima Yue's attention shifted away from the crystals. When Mu Si was mentioned, the smile on Siyu's face quickly disappeared and her expression became serious. This reaction gave Sima Yue a bad feeling. "Do you know about the Dark Dragon Guard?" Siyu asked. "Dark Dragon Guard?" What's that? Little Seven asked. Little Seven didn't know, which meant that Sima Yue didn't know either. The Dark Dragon Guard doesn't belong to our continent. Siyu said. I remember you know about the Divine Realm? Sima Yue nodded. It's a place where some ancient clans moved to live. The Dark Dragon Guard is a powerful organization. Many of them are Dark Attribute Spirit Masters. Mu Si's biological father is one of them. Siyu said, because it involves the Divine Realm, that's why Big Brother and the rest took so long. It's actually someone from the Divine Realm. The complexity of this was far beyond her imagination. Yes. Siyu also felt that it was unbelievable when she first heard it. Big Brother and the rest seemed to have found out that his father betrayed the Dark Dragon Guard with something and appeared in the primordial lands. He even gave birth to Mu Si. Do you think Mu Si was captured because of this? The people who captured him were black-clothed men. The black-clothed men shouldn't be the Dark Dragon Guard. But we can't rule out the possibility that the Dark Dragon Guard asked the black-clothed men to do it. Sima Yue guessed. But Xiaotong also said that the black-clothed men captured Mu Si to lure me into the trap. Alright, take a look and see if these people are the Dark Dragon Guard. She let Siyu see the image recorded by the Shadow Stone and asked, look at these people. Are they the Dark Dragon Guard? They should be. Look at their clothes. There's a dark dragon embroidery at the bottom of their clothes. Siyu pointed at their clothes. Big Brother said that their symbol is a black dragon. Then it should be them. Sima Yue said. They're most likely looking for Mu Si because of the thing in his father's hands. What's suspicious now is their relationship with the black-clothed men. Were the black-clothed men subordinates or partners with them? Will they come here? Siyu asked. If we capture those people, won't we know? I don't know if they've come here. The people from Xianyuan Pavilion only heard them mention this place. They didn't hear them say if they wanted to come. They're most likely in this primordial lands because of the thing in his father's hands. If they haven't left yet, it's most likely because they haven't found it. Since they mention this place, they should be coming here. You don't have news of them now. It's also possible that they aren't as fast as you and haven't reached here yet. Chapter 2208. Sima Yue also hoped that this was the case. I hope that's the case. She also felt that this was a possibility, but she was still worried. I'll get the other Xianyuan pavilions to pay more attention. That's fine too. If there's no news here, they might be able to find something. Lil 10, you guys continue chatting. We'll go out and see if we can find anything useful. Lil 11 ran over. Alright, you guys be careful. Sima Yue saw that they wanted to go out, so she let Lil 7 bring them out to play. The past 2 days were fine, so there shouldn't be any problems this time. It was a pity that she thought too much of the two children. Not long after, she received Lil 7's request for help. Siyu was chatting with her. Seeing her frown, she asked, did the two little fellows get into trouble again? Yes, Lil 7 said that they were surrounded by a group of people. Sima Yue said helplessly. They want you to save them? No, they asked me if I wanted to fight. Sima Yue was helpless. With Lil 7's excited look, even if she didn't agree, they would probably start fighting. Not to mention the fact that she had two little kids with her who loved to fight. Siyu heard this and smiled. You let Lil 7 bring the two little fellows out. It's not surprising that something like this would happen. They can play if they want. Anyway, he's here, so they don't have to worry about safety. Sima Yue glanced at Wu Lingyu. He was talking to Third Mo. Feeling her gaze, he looked at her. With just a casual glance, she could feel the love in their eyes. I say, Siyu sized up Sima Yue and said, did the two of you do that? What? Sima Yue turned around and saw Siyu's evil smile. She realized what she was talking about and blushed. Are the two of you really together? Siyu exclaimed. TSK, after so many years, it finally came to fruition. If it were up to me, the two of you should have been together a long time ago. Why did you have to go through so much? When did the two of you get together? Did you? Alright. I didn't know you could be so wishy-washy. Sima Yue blushed and glared at her. There's no use glaring at me. Siyu said. If you want me to shut up, You can only bribe me with food. Let's go. Sima Yue stood up from the chair. Where to? There is no independent courtyard here, but there is a kitchen. Let's go and talk to them. It should be usable. All right. Siyu was overjoyed as she followed her out. After they left, Third Master Mo looked at Wu Lingyu seriously. When do you plan on officially marrying Yue? Although the two of them were already together, he wouldn't acknowledge her without a formal banquet. Seeing Wu Lingyu hesitate, he jumped up and shouted, You're not going to go back on your word, are you? Am I that kind of person? Wu Lingyu glanced at him lightly. Humph, Third Master Mo snorted. You're about there. Tell me, what are your plans? Yue and I have a special status. If we get married, there will be a lot of things involved. Also, we can't just compromise. If I casually agree to it, will you believe me? That was true. If he had casually agreed, he would have been even more unhappy. What plans do you have? Let me give you some advice. Let me tell you, if your plan isn't good enough, we won't agree to it. He, Qin Mo, and the rest weren't just friends with Sima Yue, so they had to be in charge of these things. All right. Wu Lingyu didn't object. Anyway, it was good to take their advice on these things. Thus, the two of them shut themselves in the room and started talking. They didn't even come out when Sima Yue made food. Siyu moved Sima Yue's food to the main hall. She glanced upstairs and complained. What are the two of them talking about in the room? Who knows what they're talking about? Sima Yue also glanced upstairs. Seeing that the door was closed, she said, Then let's not bother about them. We'll just eat. Okay. Siyu and Sima Yue sat down. She grabbed the half of the pork trotter that Sima Yue had roasted for her and started eating. Sima Yue also took a skewer and started eating. In the end, your food is still the best. Siyu sighed. But are you really not going to bother about those three guys who like to fight? They didn't ask for help. That means they're fine. The moment Sima Yue finished speaking, she immediately disappeared from the table. She didn't even finish eating the skewer. Wu Lingyu, who was talking in the room, sensed that she disappeared. He told Third Master Mo to talk later and disappeared as well. Third Master Mo sighed. He opened the door and went out. He saw Siyu sitting in the main hall and eating. That satisfied look on her face made his lips curl up. Siyu was fighting with the skewer. She felt him looking at her and raised her head to wave at him, asking him to go down and eat. Sima Yue came out from the main hall of a tea house. The moment she came out, she disappeared with little 11 in her arms. When she appeared again, she was already on the second floor of the tea house. The place where little 11 was standing just now was gone. There was only a huge hole left. The person who launched the attack laughed. It was a very arrogant laugh. Humph, a mere transformed spiritual beast dares to provoke this venerable. If you die in this life, in the next life. His words were stuck in his throat before he could finish because he saw little 11 in Sima Yue's arms on the second floor. Who are you? That person looked at Sima Yue and asked. A person suddenly appeared in the middle of the battle. The others also survived. Yu. Little 7 and Little Lucky saw Sima Yue and flew to her side. Then Wu Lingyu appeared beside them. Alright, don't cry. Sima Yue put little 11 down and squatted down to look her in the eye. She wiped away the tears on her face. Little 11 thought she was going to die today. She was just crying because she was scared. When she saw Sima Yue, she hugged her neck and cried. Little 11, I almost died. Sob, sob, sob. Be good. Don't be scared. Sister and brother-in-law are here. No one will dare to bully you. Sima Yue patted her back and comforted her. It was the first time little 11 was so close to death. She was obviously scared out of her wits. She hugged her tightly and refused to let go. Sima Yue helplessly carried her. Little 11 leaned on her shoulder and kept sobbing. What happened? Wu Lingyu asked. Little Lucky pointed at the person who was laughing and complained. They said bad things about Sister. They said that Sister is from the Ghost clan and should go to the Ghost world. Staying in the human world will only pollute the air. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.